Back at the dome, toss of the coin. Chris Judd, Adam Simpson. North will start favourites. Umpire Jeffrey overseeing proceedings, and Judd wins the toss as we go down to the boundary. Ricky Olorenshaw, North welcome back their skipper this afternoon.
They do indeed, Dennis. He's been a super captain for the club. He's missed the last 2 weeks with a hip problem. The medico said he's got a muscle issue around the hip. Probably could have played, but I just want to make sure he's right for the business end of the season. Just a stat, boys, in the past 8 games between these two clubs, Carlton have lost the inside 50 count on all of those occasions. So an area they really need to improve on. And boys, just have a look out there. Boomer Harvey starting in a forward pocket.
And not a bad crowd either.
It's a big crowd in, isn't it? North Melbourne are going to go tall. Got big Lee Brown up there and Hale. So just try and stretch the Blues' defence. The battle's going to be in the midfield, though.
Umpires this afternoon, Vozzo, Meredith and Jeffrey. Umpire Vozzo to start us. Good bounce to start proceedings. Petrie knocks it down.
High! Back here, guys. Too high in the tackle. Straight back, thank you.
Shannon Grant and Heath Scotland are going to go head-to-head.
Thomas with the opening kick, a free kick alongside the centre circle. Slips as he kicks inside the forward 50. Loose ball at the back, missed by White. Opportunity for Brown. Lee Brown back in the side. Judd does brilliantly. He's getting good at that, just wrenching the ball off opponents. Gibbs comes away, kicks it out towards the wing. They've got the numbers. Murphy just lays it off. Walker inside the 50 for Bowler. Cradles the ball.
Just too strong. He had really good position then on Gibson. He started behind him, but he had the space and started here though. Judd, as you said, Dennis, just picked it out of his hands and away they went. Walker found some really good form last week.
He's doing it all the time now, Chris Judd, isn't he?
He is. What a great sign there. Gibbs, Judd, Walker, all involved. All early draft picks too.
Juddy's like
big kick for his confidence here for Brendan Favola.
Venetian pickpocket. Favola comes in. Pick the eyes out of that one. Straight through the middle.
I reckon that's their best chance today, Carlton. I really like them coming into this game. The fact that they've got all those midfielders capable of actually running and sharing the ball. They had over 400 possessions last week. There was Murphy involved in that too. Terrific finish there by Walker. And I reckon that would have been Dean Laidley's major concern coming into the game. How is he going to shut all those blokes down? Because if you go too negative, it actually works against the way that they want to play too, because they can play open, fast football themselves, the Kangaroos.
They got match winners themselves.
Favola with 85 goals for the season then, but he's already got a couple this afternoon we know of. It's a race to 100. Fev may not get there. You think Franklin will?
Well, it's his 67th from a set shot, so when he's having a set shot, he's very, very good.
Harris feeds it back for Rito. Wells got towards half forward with the run of it. McMahon confronted. Well done by White. Comes to Jones. Short one. Was it 15? Apparently.
Right there, Gibbsy. Right on it.
Well, Gibbs going to Boomer Harvey. That's going to be an intriguing matchup.
Jared Wade is the free playback there. He's now just getting back into position.
Harvey centres the ball straight to Stevens. Simpson. Walker again. Playing up the ground this afternoon. He does it all, Walker. Back to Gibbs. Very good last week, Gibbs. Goes across the ground. Element of danger. Oh, not saved by the whistle.
Jason Saddington, you're free.
Not one you want early on in the match, is it, to test you out like that?
Unfortunately, two relayed free kick. So it stood for naught, his bravery. Out of midair for Bowler. Let it bounce, let it run. It's a goal. He's got two. He's on fire. He'll be hard to stop now. Call for Renadair.
You don't think he'll get to 100? Keeps this sort of form up, he might hit it this afternoon. That's just good instinct. It was a really good collision here by Saddington. He had to stand up. They got the ball in quick. Thought Cruz almost did enough to take the mark, but Fev very alert once the ball hits the ground. And that's what you're talking about too, Dennis, where flying against each other, that'll be something that Brett Ratton won't be happy with, that their ruckman and their full forward just colliding in the air.
Well, I think Andrew Walker should have made sure of it and gathered it and kicked it from a metre out. Can you imagine the kerfuffle?
You reckon Fev would have stared him down?
Already Dean Lathey's had enough
Maybe.
of that free play. Jared Waite's now been picked up.
Petrie.
Mine.
Harvey boots inside the forward 50. Thornton did well. Wiggins slips it away. White arches the back. Kicks towards half forward. Half volley awkward for Murphy. Tough hombre Murphy digs it out. Harvey did well though in a tight situation to Jones to Harris. Inside the forward 50. Campbell is dangerous in this situation. To his own advantage, still going. Simpson right in his hip pocket. A lot of finessing. Not so much from Lee Brown, and the ball goes out of bounds.
She's well played there by Simpson. He could have given away a free kick, holding him when he didn't have possession of the footy. Did really well.
Carlton, the flying start. Just what the game needed. Off hands, Judd to his own advantage. Was he held? Not according to the umpire. Wiggins at close quarters. Saddington did well. Untidy hand pass though, taken by Farito, and he misses. Well, Saddington did the hard work, and then the hand pass was poor.
That's just polish, isn't it? You can do all the hard stuff, but you still got to finish off your good work.
Actually had a bit more time than Farito than what he thought too. He could have screwed the ball and got a little bit more purchase on it.
18-man zone here by the Kangaroos. Every player in Carlton's half of the ground, they're really squeezing them.
Look at Walker run. Oh, terrific. Farito comes back on him and did equally well. Thumped it out of bounds. Well, Walker took off from right half forward. Came across the ground and pushed up.
Well, they've clogged up one end of the ground, the Blues, and they've opened up the other end of the ground too. So if they get a fast break from here, they've got plenty of space to operate in.
Judd, hurried kick, bounces beyond the wing. Walker relishing his comeback. Had close to 30 against Adelaide and wonderful last week with goals against Port. Gibson played it well. Got a punch on it close to the boundary line. It's out of bounds. The old cliche is they've come to play. Well, I think the Blues have done exactly that.
Walker just missed. He had Scotland in the centre of the ground. Just missed him. Would have opened up the other side for them.
Bad miss by Wells. McMahon in trouble.
Gee, that was good play again there by Cruiser just to follow up that ruck contest and gain control of the ball. He's been picked up by Hanson. That's a big, tough job for a young kid too. Enormous pressure on him. No one back at the moment to help that North Melbourne defence either.
Fisher's loose inside 50.
Third man up was Farito. Well, fourth man up, I reckon. Down goes Harris.
Straight away. No prior. Thanks, Daniel.
Stevens is free here.
Well, a couple of free
on
plays.
The defensive side of the pack. Here he goes.
Cavola tapped it down. Well called, Tim. Stevens in trouble. Gibson against the flow somehow. McMahon finished up with a football. Gibson smashes it forward for Rito. How will it bounce? Awkwardly for Rawlings. Judd's appetite up for the game as well. He's over the football. Rawlings has got him. Hanging on for grim death was Harris. Of the ball up.
I reckon at this early stage, I reckon North Melbourne are hanging on for grim death because the pace and the ball control of Carlton is really worrying them. As soon as the game opens up and they get into a little bit of space, they're looking really sharp, Carlton.
You've got numbers too. You've got numbers all around compared to North Melbourne.
Stevens had it, lost it. Harris almost got the wedgie. Holding the ball. No. Pushed in the back.
Time's off. Ball back on.
They're lucky then too because they're away, the Blues.
Rawlings is running. Up towards the wing. Armfield can run. He's going with him. Well done, Armfield. We've got a whistle, though. Now, this whistle is behind the play against Chris Judd.
He plays like a point guard in basketball, doesn't he, Brett Harvey? They just try and get the ball in his hands as often as they possibly can. He's such a good ball controller.
No idea what happened back there, but Chris Judd in an animated discussion with the umpire. Here's Hale, runs outside the 50. Petrie, he can kick. There's Petrie, lines up and just misses.
Well, Harvey's been tagged by Armfield, but he's already had 5 disposals in the early part of this game, so he's still getting his hands on the ball. He's almost impossible to shut down because the players look to give him the ball as often as they possibly can all over the field, and they block for him too, so it makes it difficult for a tagger just to completely shut him down.
Simpson gets it back from Carazzo.
Good zone they've got here.
Gibbs untidy. Now Jones swoops on it, gives it to Brown. Where's Smith? He puts it through for a goal.
16 players were in the zone. 2 had dropped back. Only McMahon and Gibson were out of that zone, but they put enough pressure on that when Carlton tried to come in, they rolled their numbers over to the dangerous spot. And you'll see here, you've got 4 players around the footy and 1 Carlton player. That is ideal. Dean Ladley would be delighted with the pressure and the composure, and also the whole 16 players doing their job.
Ox, the thing about that is you've got to be careful. If you do take that kick, you'll get squeezed. If you do take that kick into that pocket, which is exactly what they want you to do, then they squeeze you even tighter, and it makes it more difficult for you actually to remove the ball from that part of the ground.
He's made a few bad mistakes back there, Gibbs. Terrific young player, but you could play him a tape that would depress him. A bounce alongside the centre circle.
I think players are too frightened these days just to kick it down the line to a 50-50. From a point kicking, you can kick it out wide and play safe, rather than going into a pocket, which is, you know, you get possession, but then your next kick, you're even in a worse position.
Yeah, a bit like pass the parcel, isn't it? You just sort of get rid of the problem as far as you're concerned. Someone else has got it.
Really working for Carlton at the moment too. They've got that free player behind the ball. North Melbourne picked them up. That now means they've got a 7-man forward line, which has opened up the other end of the ground for the Blues.
Judd to Russell to Thornton, swings it out wide. Fisher. Fisher, the short one, jabs it forward. Russell can find the football, sometimes let down by poor disposal.
Just no movement in Carlton's forward line at the moment.
Drives it inside the forward 50. How's this for a crowd around Favola? 4 men within 10 metres, one of whom, Ferrito, thumped it out of bounds.
Well, I don't think his best option is to actually wrestle. He's a much better player on the lead. He stopped here. Probably a poor kick in the end, but third man up, easily pickings for the Kangaroos.
Power went to ground, got it away. Now Rawlings from Ferrito to the opposite pocket. Hanson now running hard. Sinclair, he'll get the football. Nobody near him. Should be too quick for Cruiser, who's in pursuit. Sinclair needed to be pinpoint, wasn't. Intended for Petrie, stolen away by White, and hit hard was Fisher. Will it be 50? Advantage is paid. Judd kicks a goal. The skipper.
Well, there's a really poor kick there by Sinclair from half back. He actually had 2 options. He chose the wrong one. It probably indicated how keen they are, though, the Kangaroos, North Melbourne, to bring the ball back inside. That's a really heavy knock there from Ferrito on Fisher. And there's the turnover. That kick, you know, hits its target. It's right on the mark. Ferrito puts a lot of body pressure, but it's Judd then who follows through. And the early part of this game, he's looked damaging too.
14 goals for the season for Chris Judd. When he's in top form, he is kicking goals.
He's already had 3 contested clearances, so he's having an influence. He's just shoveling it out to his blokes around him. He's been pretty good early on.
Petrie knocked it down. Watt, Harvey, now Wells, Simpson started on the bench, goes forward to Harvey. A lot of the football. Now an opportunity for this man, Power. Runs to 50, centering kick. Big pack. Ball comes behind. Who's got the pace? Sinclair worked out of it by Russell. Good play by Russell. Simpson scrambles a kick outside the defensive 50. Armfield fell over. Jones, can he find a way through? Armfield did brilliantly. Threw himself across the boot. Simpson, that's holding the ball, surely. No free kick. Gathered by Sinclair. Looks back inside the forward 50 and finds Grant.
That's better.
Gee, I liked Armfield's second effort there. He overran the footy, got it short on.
Harding about 25 metres out now. Seemed to me Waite was holding the footy.
Well, he had plenty of opportunity. Have a look at this for a second effort. Yep.
That is the perfect smother there.
That was good because he overran it and he could have been forgiven for giving up, but he didn't. This is a good spot up here. Loose man, Shannon Grant just dropping off. He's not the best kicker goal, Lee Harding.
Well, if he kicks this goal, it's back to just 4 points, despite what we've seen. Carlton appearing much better, but Harding pulls it to within a goal.
That's his 11th goal for the season. He's played a fair bit down back this year. That was a better kick by Jess Sinclair after botching up the last one, trying to go into Petrie inside. He had the courage to go for another kick. And this is a beauty, Lee Harding. And that's where Carlton have got to switch on. When they do lose the footy, they've got to make sure that they've got all their players covered, because they do push forward, the Kangaroos. They've got multiple goal kicking options. It's a good result for Lee.
Margin 4 points. Approaching the midway point in this opening term. Big crowd, as you'd expect. Such an important game for both clubs. Not a great bounce. Cloak won it down, or was it Hampson?
You go
Cloak
forward.
it was. Scramble.
Came out.
Backing out is Murphy.
Trap now.
Taken down. We'll have a bounce. Mark Murphy, the first man taken, a priority pick in the 2005 draft. His dad John played 9 games with North, was a star at Fitzroy. Overrunning power. Murphy gets in and tight. Griggs got the run of it. Wells has got him. Grigg feeds it forward. Murphy once more. Oh, brilliance. The spin in the hand pass. Judd goes across the ground. That's hard to combat. Stevens goes looking for Favola, who just went looking. Watt's taken the mark.
Simpson was on too. He's all alone. He'd started on the wing against Brent Harvey, and then Brent Harvey pushed forward, and Simpson stayed out on the wing on his own, and no one actually picked him up from North Melbourne on that occasion. Stephen really should have gone to him and halved the distance and just kept possession of the ball.
Pratt's got the ball.
Didn't have that lateral vision, did he?
Do you think the Fev took a peek as he was coming up on the lead? Here's Harding.
Nothing wrong with that, Dennis, sometimes.
Oh, no, I subscribe to it.
Move it on. Play on.
Just a question. Harding along the boundary.
Play on.
Scotland got a hand to it. It's out of bounds.
Picked up that loose now, the Kangaroos. And in fact, he's just dropped off again, Wait, so I'm sure that they don't want to keep that loose there.
In a strange way, this is a good start by North. Harris got it from Hale to Grant. Burrito in midfield. Run down by Russell. That's holding the footy. Murphy. Stevens. Fisher is on. Walker is breaking. Walker is the next link in the chain. What a beautiful kick. Walker. It's amazing what missing football does for you. He really is a hungry man. Again, he took off, and I reckon he's gone the best pass of 80 metres.
This was a great bit of play here by Russell just to grab Burrito. He was the free player, so they were actually going to use their free player, North Melbourne, when they broke. It was a great lunging tackle, and then Walker, as you called so beautifully, Dennis, just took off and ran into that space that had been created on the fat side of the ground.
A kick from just inside the 50. Eases this ball towards goal, but misses to the right-hand side. Margin 5 points. Just the start we wanted. Plenty of tension. Carlton coming out very quickly. North now regaining their composure. Not with that mark though. Hanson terrible. Getting through Russell. Got it back from Murphy. Screws it back and kicks a goal.
There's self-disciplining there by Hanson too. He's come straight off. Nobody actually sent the message out to him. He knew that he made a mistake. Maybe he was getting tired, the kid back there. He's been doing a lot of running, and that was just a concentration lapse. The ball should have been gobbled up and seized on the mistake there by Russell. Interesting the way they're actually setting up Carlton. They haven't got the 15-man zone, 16-man zone that a lot of other sides employ, and North haven't had that much trouble shifting the ball.
So Hanson off the ground. Spare a thought for him. Lachlan Hanson. We've all done it. 25 plays 14. It's when you do it and where you do it sometimes. Stevens left it behind. Grant over the football. Harris fed it out to Pratt. Gets it away. Brown. Overlapping power, running down towards half forward. Telling kick inside the forward 50. Big leap down there. Jamison got a fist on it. Stolen away by Grant, and he bounces one through. Oh, I like the looks of this game.
Gee, they had numbers down there too. Carlton had got serious numbers back, but it's a really good punch. You'll see the ball come in here. Power kicks it in long, and it's a long punch away, which clears all the immediate danger, and then the Kangaroos players are front and square. Sometimes when you do belt it a long way away, it opens up more trouble than it's worth. If you're going to punch it long, get it towards the boundary line. Otherwise, you bring too many other players into the play. Good play by Grant.
Just the awareness that time of Shannon Grant. Bloke's got a run at a spoil. Invariably, it comes out a fair distance. Other times, if they're body to body reaching, it stays in close. And Grant worked that out. Hit the pack hard, got the goal. Margin 5 points.
Kanga's just getting on top of the clearances. 8. Carlton have only had 3.
Brown doing some rocking. Murphy's been splendid. Judd towards half forward. Wonderful courage. Wiggins went back, forced the error from Ferrito. Well done for Bowler. And Cloak's kicked a goal. We have got ourselves a clinic at the Dome.
Every time Carlton has moved the ball quickly, they have looked incredibly dangerous. Here they go again from the stoppage. The ball in the hands of Judd, just getting the ball into the forward line as quickly as he can. That should have been a mark there. Really, he was in best position. And then Cloak, who had actually pushed down forward because of the ruck duel, he noticed the ball obviously going their way. And that's exactly what you want your big ruckman to do. But that mark should have been gobbled up there by Ferrito.
What about Wiggins' effort? Outstanding.
Cloak kicked the goal. He's off the ground. Murphy has been splendid. 7 possessions, all of them hand passes so far. Judd's had 6. Harvey's had 7 for North. Brown goes at it. They fought a draw. Gibbs surges away with the football, goes inside the forward half. Thumped forward by Ferrito. Judd, what a wonderful tackle. Down went Pratt. Had it a long time. Oh dear. An anticlimax. Pratt will not be happy.
Gee, they were lucky. Just watch this bit of play here from Wiggins. He just comes into screen here. Bang! Out goes Rawlings. And you love to see a forward coming off the line doing that sort of stuff.
Simpson pops it up to the wing, taken by Power. Releases Rawlings. Kicks inside the forward 50. Well, was that holding on? Perhaps Thomas should have got a free. We've got a whistle. Free to North in any case.
It's in the back. Fell in his back. David Hale.
See a big transfer here. We'll have a look at the free kick. Just pulled. Is it Thomas or is it Hale?
Hale's getting it. It should have been Thomas. Yeah. Thomas was in front.
Well, there's probably 2 free kicks there, but they've given it to the second one. Hale's a beautiful kick at goal. Saddington probably more worried about the man than actually winning the footy himself. But Wiggins' 2 efforts in the last couple of minutes have been outstanding for the Blues.
David Hale made his debut against Carlton. Round 5, 2003. His first opponent, Corey McKernan, when he was a Blue. In he comes. Kicks and slides it through. They're trading goals on a Sunday afternoon.
Well, there's a massive crowd here at the Telstra Dome, and they're getting their money's worth in this first quarter of football. Hale there scoring that last goal. I reckon Laidley coming into this game would have thought that they may have had an advantage by playing their tools. They brought Corey Jones into the forward line and started him down there alongside Hale, and also Lee Brown down there, just trying to exploit not just a lack of height from Carlton, but also a lack of strength with their key defensive players too.
Margin 5 points then. There you see the difference in height. It favours Hale. Saddington with a dilemma when the ball comes in and they're 1 out. Both coaches working overtime on the phone. Simpson. If they get a goal here, it'll be the lead for North. Now we've got a whistle and the free kick has been plucked out of this.
Jared, it's your kick for in the back here. In the back, you knocked him out of the contest. Right?
Well, there's the explanation. Waite will take the free kick. It has been a great start. 110 possessions. We've had 9 goals kicked. So it's just been full on attack both ends of the ground.
Waite saw the free kick and replay there. Cruiser.
Saddington's on him.
I think McMahon would have got away with it had he touched the football. Here's Saddington. Just draws a man. Carrazzo, left half forward. Getting back wonderfully with courage down there is Harding, but it's going to be a relayed free kick.
Brendan's kick. No, it's Brendan's kick. Mark was taken here.
It's in the worst possible hands from North Melbourne's perspective too.
Well, that's just silly. It's just a silly, even to give the umpire an opportunity to give a free kick going inside 50. Okay. And you know when it's going in that Fev's going to be pretty much on the end of it, so you're asking for trouble. And I wouldn't be surprised if the runner goes out to Lindsay Thomas and says, either call your jets or come off.
So Favola, under 7 minutes till quarter time, lining up at his third. And from what we've seen already, he's on target. He's on target.
He's on, yeah. Before the game when they do their warm-ups, Brendan Favola, Cloak, all the big guys were having shots. They were all on fire. They all split the middle. They all took a lot of time and care in their approach. So I reckon that translates into the match when you are practicing properly. You normally take that in, and they've kicked beautifully so far.
No, he was kicking them like they had eyes before the game. I was watching him too, and he's in great form. He's looking as sharp as he ever does, Brendan Favola, and he's getting some supply too.
6-1-4-2.
Just
having 11 points.
Sorry, just having a quiet word there to his opponent, Josh Gibson, just probably asking whether or not he enjoyed another one of those sailing over his head. There's 3 in the first quarter, and he's getting some terrific supply from the players up the ground, though.
Good bounce. Cruiser won it down. Judd's getting a free.
This will go to Cruiser.
Kicks it out wide.
Well, Fev's one out.
Cruiser. Grigg is on for the hand pass. He elects to kick. Fev is going back. Gibson did pretty well. Got a hand to it. Knocks it towards the boundary. Favola and Gibson. Favola's over the football. Went looking for Wiggins. Murphy didn't have it. Spills across to Harris. Gibson. Eventually they'll work it out. Harris, Sinclair, Power. Well done, North. Terrific start. Rawlings, they backed themselves and they won. Power goes inside the forward 50. Loose ball at the back. Hale knocked away by Saddington. Coming in quickly, Thornton. Saddington goes back. Scotland over the top. Hand pass comes across from Armfield. Thornton around the boundary. White. Thompson crashes in. Take it to ground. Well, a player caught one in the chops there. Grant is running goalward. And there's going to be a free kick back where there was choppage.
I thought Armfield could have got a free kick.
Shannon Grant getting back.
Watch this one by Boomer.
No more. That's not good enough.
So it's against Waite for the tackle.
It happened before, didn't it? Before Boomer got Armfield.
How would the umpire know?
Well, this is
probably about 15 metres apart.
Absolute shootout at the moment. It's just full on. It's going to give it off here.
Thomas goes short. And Hanson's back on the ground, a chance to make amends, and that would be nice.
And I reckon if the shootout continues, you'd have to favour Carlton in a situation like that, because they do, I reckon, have a greater level. There's a free kick against Harvey too, but the other one had already been paid. They've got a great level of talent in their midfield. And I reckon that would be the concern going into quarter time for Dean Laidley, how much possession the Carlton midfielders are getting.
Hanson comes in, kicks the goal, so redemption for the pair of them. Thomas gave him the ball, Hanson kicked the goal.
Well, it's the 5th individual goal kicker for North Melbourne. Hanson, he did give away a goal earlier on when he dropped a simple mark in Carlton's attacking 50. There it is there, Waite, silly free kick. Lindsay Thomas, who gave away a free kick before that resulted in Favola getting one. He's repaid the Kangaroo, so it's a bit of to and fro at the moment.
It's a good point you make about the 5th goal kicker too, because they've got a greater goal kicking spread than what the Blues have. They do rely heavily on Favola. Coming into this game, there's 8 Kangaroo players that have been averaging a goal a game, so their goal kicking spread is terrific, whereas Favola kicks 30% of the Blues goals.
Well, they needed that too with Thompson and Edwards out of their side. They're 2 goal kicking forwards.
Harris got a hand pass away. Rawlings put down, but not before he sent it wide. Sinclair onto the loose ball. That's got to be a free kick. Hanson has come back rejuvenated.
He might have copped a rocket, but he knew anyway. He dragged himself off. It's a self-imposed dragging.
Like a self-sourcing pudding. He just ran.
Happens.
There goes the kick down towards the pocket. Hale, Cruiser coming back, well done. Thumps it out of bounds.
He just does the right things, doesn't he, Cruiser, for a young player in his first year of AFL football.
Have we seen a ruckman come in and be as influential in recent memory? Justin Kazitsky, maybe?
Not even in his first year, I don't think.
No. I wouldn't have thought close, would he? Although he did win the Norwich Rising Star, as it was then. Never should have. Daniel Kerr should have. That was a travesty. Sorry, Justin, but it was.
Really?
I think so.
He played more as a forward, though,
Walker,
didn't he? As opposed
Well, he
to...
played centre back, actually.
Saddington. I think a lot of people very surprised that Daniel Kerr didn't win that year. Still, that's a long time ago. Scotland's got the football.
He hasn't forgotten it, though, Ox.
Well,
a lot of people over in the West, I think.
No, they harbour long memories.
It's part of the cross that Justin has to bear, I think. The expectations were very high. It was more on reputation. The ball's out of bounds. Nothing's changed. Boundary throw in, or is it a free kick?
Yeah,
Let's go to Harvey.
A lot of rotations. This is Carlton's best start, best quarter they've had for the season.
Simpson, power. 60 metres out. Long kick towards full forward. Hale is down there at the last moment. Waite got hands to it. Close to the boundary line. Carazzo keeps it in. Clever. Now, what will the umpire say here? I've got no idea.
Your free kick too high.
They're happy to go long, though, North Melbourne, because even though it's quite a crowded forward line, they've got Grant, Thomas, Campbell. Harvey's been going down there and camping underneath that pack as well. So if the ball does come to ground, they're going to fancy themselves at actually being able to win the ball back again.
So that's another 50 against Thomas, and he stays on the ground. That's his second, isn't it? As the ball comes across to Thornton.
Yeah, the other one was downfield against Carazzo.
But he did win one back, so 2 negatives to make a positive.
It's just that Dean Laidley is very tolerant, isn't he? I mean, some coaches wouldn't stand for that. Short one from Fisher, gives it away. Hale is a good player, Hale. Gets a hand pass to Harvey. Harvey goes inside the forward 50. Was Brown tripped? Apparently not. Punched away by Jamison. It's out of bounds. And the one thing we have learned already is Carlton, at least in the short term, can play at this tempo.
They can, and as Tim was saying earlier, if the midfielders keep getting their hands on it, it's 31.5 minutes old this quarter already, and there's still 3 minutes to go. So 11 goals being kicked. We're going to have a long first term.
Brown, Saddington, Stevens. Releases Gibbs, couple of bounces up the middle of the ground. Favola needs to peel off now, and he does. Kick in that direction. Oh, that is silver service.
You'll have a shot from here, and he'll be confident. He can kick at 60 metres, not a problem.
Gibbs is on in the middle, wanting it back, but Fev says the pass was good, but not that good. And then he goes out wide and finds Carazzo, who goes deep to the pocket and finds Simpson, who is a left footer. Not sure, though, that was ideal. Gibbs was on for quite a while inside the forward 50 by about 10 metres to Favola's left.
Players up the field, though, they have to help Gibson out. They've got to put some pressure on those midfielders carrying the ball. There was 3 of them running through the centre of the ground. I actually thought on that occasion Gibbs might have carried the ball a bit further.
Still there, Corey. Still there, you're right.
Cade Simpson. Bouncy approach. And just misses. That was a terrific build-up. What about the kick by Gibbs?
And I think the problem was that Fev had his starting position wrong. He was too far up the ground. If he had to come out of the square, the ball would have been kicked to about 35 metres in, but in the end it ended up being 55. So important, your starting position for a full forward.
Look at Harvey scuttle across the ground. He takes the mark.
This is number 10 for Harvey.
Short one. Power slides in. Riveting first term. The margin is 6 points, and after those bad years of playing the salary cappuccino, Carlton are back.
Well, Power's turned his career around too. His last couple of weeks have been outstanding. In fact, his season's been very good.
Hansen, mark of the man. He's come back and got some possessions. Jones to Simpson. Across the ground. Hansen. Big strides for a big man. Murphy, who's been good, hasn't kicked it much. Fisher on the lead. Still plenty of time for a score. Brown sets it up. Favola drifting back. Burrito goes up. Grabbed by the arm. Will get the free kick. Still time for North.
They should have done better than that, Carlton. They actually had numbers available, and they could have worked their way into their attacking 50 with more precision than what they ended up doing. They ended up kicking the ball as a 50-50 contest. It didn't need to go to a 50-50 contest. They could have controlled it much better.
Rawlings has got it.
Oh, there's a free here.
Whoa. Harding has pace. So does Judd. Closing. Oh, well done, Judd. Well done, Harding. Towards full forward. Showing initiative and getting off his man. Dropping back to take the mark. Carazzo.
I'll tell you one thing. The crowd are into this game. Every kick, every turnover.
Why not?
Fantastic.
The U-turn then really put the forwards off then for North Melbourne. They're all moving, and Harding did the U-turn, and then they're all out of position.
Saddington kicks it straight to Hansen. Poor kick, so still time for North. Taking no prisoners. Drives it deep into attack once more. Big pack, fisted away. Gibbs the crumb. Lays it forward. Simpson back to Gibbs. We're down to 6 seconds. There was an inadvertent whistle, and now it's coming back. And the problem with this is, what's that for?
Downfield, it was...
what was it for?
It was a jump in the back.
Okay, well, the problem with that is when you stop it on the advantage, the clock continues to run. Anyway, it's quarter time, and we'd love this. That was as good a quarter of football as I've seen this season, without question. 6-2 plays 5-2 at the Dome. This is Sunday Football. All week looking forward to this one. It's lived up to the hype so far. Terrific game. Carlton 6-2-38. North Melbourne 5-2-32. Brendan Favola has 3 goals. What is that? 87 for the season. And Chris Judd has made the quick start.
Yeah, off to a bright start. Dennis had 8 possessions in that first quarter. Did it all. And here he is winning the contested ball and then feeding it out. He does that as well as any player. There again, a tight, in-close, contested footy. I reckon there's Rollings who actually went to him for about the last 10 minutes, the hard tag. He did a really good job on him. You can't, there he is again, he's just tackling the North Melbourne player. You can't stop Chris Judd from actually getting the ball. The best you can hope to do is actually rush his possession when he does get the ball, but when he's most dangerous is when he actually gets out into the open, and he's been able to do that on a couple of occasions in the first quarter.
I think the most amazing stat about Chris Judd, he's been All-Australian only twice.
I reckon they mark him higher.
Of course they do.
Oh, sorry, harder than probably any other player in the competition.
Well, 2005 was statistically a much better year for him compared to 2004 when he won the Brownlow, but he didn't make the All-Australian team, which was quite laughable. 6-2 to 5-2. You're outspoken sometimes, Tim. You get on a path and you won't stop. So, David, is that the best quarter you've seen this season?
Yeah, I thought that the Bulldogs in Adelaide in round 1, but it's taken 19 weeks in between to find a quarter just as good. It was fantastic because they were hitting their targets. The umpires didn't over-officiate. It was full-on attack football. Really good skill. The Stars stood up. Judd got 8. Harvey got 10. And that's what you want to see. You want to see the good players play well. You want to see scoring, and you want to see attacking football. None of this slowing down, holding the ball up. It was only done once with about 20 seconds to go. Outstanding start to the game.
Yeah, they're trying to play through their strength, Carlton. There's no doubt about that. That is to get the ball on as quickly as they can. They've got that deep talent of midfield players. They're trying to use those players as often as they can. There's Gibbs on screen, who's had a good first quarter as well. Daniel Harris, too, has had 9 possessions in that first quarter.
Bounce. Spills wide of the pack. Hansen a half chance. Gibbs taken to ground. So we know North Melbourne can play 4 quarters at this tempo. Can Carlton. Let's go down to Ricky.
Just at quarter time, Dean Lally actually pulled out the stat sheet and showed to the North Melbourne players, just showing how much of the numbers that Carlton midfield are racking up. Also, Shannon Grant had some treatment on his right ankle, but he's back at half forward, so he's okay.
Jarrett Wade's still loose in defence. In fact, he's now been picked up by McMahon. They'll have. They're trying to get Heath Scotland free. Ducks and Drakes at the moment.
Clever by Hansen. Murphy got it from Cloak. Stevens drops the mark. Now Harding runs away, puts the ball in the hands of Harvey. Couple of bounces, runs beyond the wing, cuts in field, releases the time nicely. Just got the ball across to Harding in stride. Almost a juggled mark down there by Hale. Falling to the ground. Carazzo kept his head. Scotland wheels around. Grigg is on. Goes in that direction. Awkward half volley though. Wells there now step for step. Grigg wants it out of bounds. That's got to be deliberate, doesn't it? Apparently not.
And at this early stage, Thomas and also Campbell have been kept out of the game. They've only had 3 possessions between them, but you would think if North Melbourne can keep actually pestering that spot of the ground about 20 metres out from the top of the goal square, those blokes will come into the game at some stage.
Hansen to Harris. Knocked away by Scotland. Coming quickly, Jamieson. Scotland in desperate trouble. And Thornton just flicks it across the line.
I tell you, Sean Grigg was one of the best players for Carlton last week. He hasn't had a stat yet. He's picking up Daniel Wells, who's only had 3, so playing a real negating role at the moment. There he is.
Yeah, he's making him smile after that last foray near the boundary. You're amazing. Wells gets it across to McMahon. McMahon pops in a goal, scores a level.
Well, it is amazing, and that becomes the 6th goal kicker for the Kangaroos. Sean Grigg, he'd done a really good job on Daniel Wells. You'll see him here. He's right beside him.
How do you lose him, Ox?
Just took off. He thought, no, I'm going to wait here. You only need to give Daniel Wells 1 metre, and you're away, and all of a sudden he's in front.
Wasn't he on the wrong side though to start?
He had to play goal side of him then. He gave him too much width then. I mean, he actually had that body on him at that stoppage.
You've got to get in front. You've got to get goal side at least.
McMahon got the goal. Talk us through this, Ox.
Well, you've got to be in front. You've got to be in between your player and the goal square, and he was right beside him. You've got to push him into the pack. Gave him too much width.
6-2 apiece then. Cloak on the way down. Judd had it, lost it. Petrie, Harvey scampers away, but not before he gave it to Harding. Harding the long kick. Hale in best position. Wonderful courage by White coming back. Grant gets the crumb and snaps a goal. North Melbourne in front.
Dennis, that's exactly what I was talking about. If the Kangaroos, North Melbourne, can keep penetrating that part of the ground, and all they really want from Hale is a contest. Just watch this again. Harvey came off the back of the square. He actually gets the handball here from Petrie outside again to Harding, who's a really good ball carrier. There's the drop-off zone. Kicks over half back to the top of the goal square. Puts enormous pressure on the Carlton defence. And then they actually have to spoil the ball back into pretty much what was an attacking part of the ground, and good finish.
Now, Carlton have got a really interesting forward line set up here. You'll see Fev is up in the goal square by himself. The Kangaroos have just got one player dropping back. If they get the ball in like North Melbourne have, they're going to be super, super dangerous. So it's battle of the centre bounce at the moment.
It's really a contest now between Jared White, who's the free for the Kangaroos, and Harding, who's the free for North Melbourne.
Cloak socketed forward. Chopped off by Pratt. He's away. Has a bounce. Pretty high one too. Runs beyond the wing. Looks inside the forward 50. From behind White again. Took it off the hands of Hale. Didn't get boots a ball. Grant under pressure. Campbell had it knocked away. Fisher did well. Scotland. Now Stevens on the defensive 50. Drives it up towards the wing for Rito in best position. Does well. Strong player for Rito. Simpson. Back inside the forward 50. Cloak needs to come. And does he come?
Great grab. Had the sit and did exactly what he had to do. Beautiful mark.
Got everything.
There it is. Oh, nice ride too. Corey Jones won't be happy with big Cloak's bum on his head.
Greg out of the back pocket then. To Thornton. And things just for the moment settle. Murphy breaks quickly. She's a good player, Murphy. Does so many things well. Goes short. Fisher. Murphy. He's got to keep running, but Judd came across on the angle and made that unnecessary. But the kick, I think, has gone out in the full. Now, did it land on the line, according to the boundary umpire, who must have been obscured by the player who was lunging at it, but I guess he can't guess.
I reckon it hit the line, Dennis. Just watch this very closely.
Yes.
I don't even think it went out, though.
Boundary umpire, terrific job. Advantages paid. Harris got it out to Rawlings for Rito. Urquhart, haven't seen much of him. Goes back inside. Rawlings holds it up for Rito. Hale is on the move, so is Petrie. Petrie goes back, lurking behind all of that. Grant to Hale. Open goal beckons, and he misses. But they're really challenging the Blues now.
They are. Just let's have a look at this ball. It hits the line. Is it out of bounds?
Let's watch again.
I don't think it's out of bounds. And here's the mark. Here's the mark. Yeah, beautiful grab.
Well, if you apply the logic back on the boundary line, if it landed on the line, obviously it can't be out then, can it?
No, but the umpire must have thought that the bounce actually travelled over, but it just popped straight up.
Yeah. Off hands. Harding. Hale. Simpson. Hansen. Like what he's done. Hansen goes in short. Clever kick. Harris. Told to play on now. Goes across the ground. Petrie with a runner alongside Gibson. Wells is breaking as well. Uses neither of them. Hale.
What a great kick. The reason it was great because it went in long, but didn't go in long slow. It went in really quick. It was a dart kick of 50 metres. You'll see this. Petrie just bullets it. And there's no time for Saddington to get back. It's a great kick into a dangerous spot.
He's been a good target, hasn't he, Hale? He hasn't actually marked the ball every time, but he's created a contest. And there's no doubt their plan is to get the ball in there as long and as quick as they possibly can and really put this young, inexperienced Carlton backline under pressure. Inside 56 to the North Melbourne, 0 to Carlton this quarter.
Hale comes in, and this time makes no mistake.
Well, he's a big unit. He's a big target. And since Hamish McIntosh, Colin Montgomery there in the crowd, since Hamish McIntosh has gone out of the side, David Hale and Drew Petrie have really stood up. And he played yesterday in the reserves or in the VFL, and you'd expect to see him back in the next couple of weeks. But gee, Hale's form has just been brilliant. Kicks beautifully too.
He's got a massive size advantage. If you have a look at the two players side by side, Hale and also Saddington, he's a bigger man. He's much stronger. Yep. And they're just happy to direct the ball to his vicinity.
201 centimetres, David Hale.
Well, that problem was compounded by the fact they weren't side to side. He was standing by himself. Socket through the pack by Wells. Got towards half forward. McMahon. Left behind by Campbell. Rawlings did well to Campbell to Sinclair. Gets a hand pass away. Harding under pressure. Didn't miss by much.
No. I love the way Harding's playing at the moment. He's actually the free player for the North Melbourne across half back. So as soon as they look like they're going to break from the centre bounce clearance, he's on his bike. He just charges into the forward line, and then they try and use him as often as they can.
Now, this is the kick that they're happy to concede, North Melbourne. They roll over. And all of a sudden they've just shut the game, or they shut, you know, 2/3 of the ground down. So you've got no other option other than kick long down the line.
Which he does now. Good mark taken by Watt.
He pushed Cloak into that contest too. Very lucky not to get a free kick against him.
Watt, quite achiever back there. Not a good kick. Hansen almost the mark though. Simpson. Trying to get out of trouble was Murphy. He's a bit lucky there. It was taken high according to the umpire. May well have been, but Hansen was just waiting for him, and he tries this back turn. Yeah, too high.
And Dennis, since Rawlings went to Judd, he's had just one touch, and so all the possessions have dried up for him. That's a real hard tag. They didn't start with that North Melbourne, but it's been good for them since they actually employed it.
Well, 40-20 in favour of North Melbourne in this quarter.
Thornton got it from Greg, pushes up the ground, now hesitates. Saddington on the outer side. This is where it gets tricky.
I hope Brendan Favola's stretching because the ball hasn't been down near him. I don't want him to ice up.
Murphy with no one behind him. Well, one defender. Comes down towards half forward. Wiggins. No support though. Wiggins taken to ground. Well done by Watt. Gathered by Power. Kicks along the boundary to Jones. Hansen's on in the middle. He spots him now. Not a good kick though behind Hansen. It runs on though. Taken by Sinclair. Bit of luck for North. Sinclair goes long. Saddington in desperate trouble.
Oh, he's a good target up there, Hale. Saddington just not big enough. He's 193. Hale 201. But really good. Not a good kick coming inside. Oh, Waite just had to get down on it. He didn't. Just Sinclair was smart enough. He identified that there was one-on-one in the goal square. He'll take that all day long. David Hale's becoming a real thorn in the backside of Carlton.
I'm not sure they have too many other options either, Carlton, down there.
Well, Jarrett Waite's the only other one, but they want to use him as the free.
So Hale at his third. Gets it. Trouble for Carlton.
It is, and it all comes down to the centre break now. Saddington, he needs help too, a bit like Josh Gibson up the other end. If the ball keeps coming in loose like that. But this is where it all fell down for Carlton. They just didn't have any support around Chief Wiggins. He was there by himself, and Simpson had to get over. He had to at least get in the way of power, but not working hard enough. They haven't got numbers around the footy and making some silly mistakes.
Well, things in a game of footy can change quickly, and they certainly have. Carlton started red hot, but right now as cool as a Mark Latham bumper sticker. Margin is 20 points. It's happened quickly. Just can't get it inside 50. Hampson knocks it down. Stevens. Scotland, was he pushed in the back? No, free. Rawlings getting the football as well as containing Judd. Grant goes into an open goal and gets another one. You've got to say they're looking like a premiership contender.
Gee, how quick it has changed too, Tim.
It's just opened up, hasn't it? The game is being completely played now on North Melbourne's terms there. We see Lee Brown, almost a free kick, but there's Rawlings. And they've got players who just are anticipating the run of play and the ball turning over and opening up, and then they're just getting on their bikes and just creating options. But they need to close this game down for the next 5 or 10 minutes. Carlton turned into arm wrestle as much as they possibly can.
Fitting number 6 got the goal because North have got the last 6 goals in this game. 10-4-6-2.
Need to lay a tackle too, Carlton. They've only had 9 for the match.
Petrie knocked it down. Judd behind the pack. Springs to his feet somehow. And he gets a free kick.
Well, this will be the first time they've gone inside 50 for the quarter. And we're...
Hang on, they're not in yet.
We're 13 minutes in. Well, they should go in if they don't. Oh, no, they're not either.
Favola coming up the ground. Spilt the mark. Brown. Gibson. They've got a convoy around the outer side. Look at Harvey like a relay runner. Takes it. Is that a relayed kick? He was put down. Doesn't matter. Hale's got the football. 60 metres out from goal.
Him and Shannon Grant are causing real headaches for the Carlton defenders.
Big job for Armfield. A couple of players out there with big jobs. Gibson to the pocket. Jones. Strong pair of hands, Jones.
And that was Fev's man that came down, Josh Gibson. Fev just back at half forward. Here's the mark he dropped.
If you turn it over on this part of the ground, you're in all sorts of trouble, aren't you? That's a great rebound territory. And it just had to stick. It was a difficult one because he was going so fast.
Yeah.
It was a long lead, but it just had to stick because the North Melbourne players were there in numbers to clean up.
First time the ball's been in his area too for the quarter, so...
They're not easy, those marks, though.
No,
when you're really flat out.
Well, you're not sure if you take them on the chest or in the hands.
And you do know if you spill it, it's a problem.
Oh, wow.
Jones. Try keeping up with that.
Brett Martin said during the week in the lead up to the game, Ox, that he believed North Melbourne were a better side than they're a better side this year than what they were last year. And he talked about their capacity to actually score in a free-flowing style of football, or if they had to really scrounge and play dirty as well. Well, this game actually hasn't been a scrounging type of game of football. I thought they'd try and shut the Blues down, but they've actually gone head-to-head with them. And the way they're playing at the moment, they are absolutely annihilating them in general play.
That was a marvellous kick. No stranger to kicking good goals.
They've just got so many options too, Dennis. That's number 7 in their goal kicking. It's players coming off half back. They've got a lot of versatility, and I think that's what's catching a lot of sides out with North Melbourne.
And superbly coached.
Oh, no doubt about that.
Brown got it from Rawlings, coughed it up. Grigg gets away as Grigg. Maybe now they'll go inside 50. Murphy alongside the centre circles. Favola creates some separation on the lead and is marked inside the 50.
Well, the way they have to get back into this game is actually get their hands on the ball. and control the ball for a while. They haven't been able to do that at all in this second quarter. They love going to this bloke, don't they? We mentioned that pre-game. 15 times a game they actually go to Favola. He's the key target. Stevens was on halfway then, but they decided to bypass him and go the man who really has had a golden boot on today.
Best effort against North Melbourne, round 5, 2003. We're right behind him going at goal number 4. We'll give him 88 for the season, and that's online.
Wow. When he turns up to play, Brendan Favola, when you know that first contest that he gets and he's on song, there are very few more exciting footballers in the competition. No surprise to the two goal-kicking greats of 2008 are Buddy Franklin and Brendan Favola. People pay to come through and see these two blokes. And when he's on, gee, there's very few that can get near him.
That was a good setup too. Greg just carrying the ball and drawing the player.
They need to get him loose.
Favola's got 4. But the margin still substantial, as you can see. Dean Laidley, the biggest win of his coaching career, 124 points. Came against Carlton, round 22, 2003. Rucks go at it. Simpson in trouble, taken down, managed to get boot to ball.
Good speed.
Harding with pace. Hansen. Now, can the young man finish here? Oh. You bet he can! Well done, young fella. Well done.
And you've got to love what Lee Harding's been able to do too, don't you? Like, he's reinvented himself as a player. He was pretty much an opportunistic type half forward. They've given him defensive roles. They've put him in the midfield. Just watch this. He just takes the game on. He's got blistering speed. Fisher can't keep up with him. You know, players that run like that and then draw a play. I mean, he created that whole situation there for Hansen to have what really was in the end a relatively easy shot at goal.
And he did have a Rico only 18 months ago. His comeback has been outstanding.
Timmy, you know what I love about this great game? Hansen kicks that goal in virtually the self-same spot he dropped the mark. Isn't life strange? I just love it.
Twists and turns.
Like a lower intestine, isn't it?
He's been a much better looking player since he actually came back onto the ground as a forward too.
Nick Stevens jumper.
He's been terrific since he came back on, which means he doesn't go off and mope and hang his head.
That's a great sign for a young player.
Pratt's the loose here for the Kangaroos in defensive 50.
Stevens goes out wide. Hansen about 75 metres from goal.
Get back off your mark. That's the way.
Where's Fev?
Oh, yours.
I would imagine on the end of this somewhere. He went up one-handed, fisted away. Judd, did he have possession? Apparently. Taken away by Harris, close to the boundary line.
Oh, that's a good call by you. So I reckon half the time, before Judd even gets control of the ball, his tagger has possession of him.
Is this on the full? No. Good decision.
It's a great bit of play there by Judd.
Thornton. Big leap, he's doing it.
He's a star, this kid.
In all respects. Boomer Harvey. Bounding.
30 years of age, he's playing like a 22-year-old.
Up to 14 now, 2 already disposals this afternoon.
He's going to be a red-hot favourite, one of the red-hot favourites for the Brownlow medal.
Burrito to Harris.
He polls very well, then.
Yeah.
Umpires enjoy his work.
Might have a bit of work to do yet. Might get some more today, though, the way it's going. Margin 32 points. And that's a strong mark on the lead taken by Pratt.
And Ox, you made the point before about Jarrad Waite, maybe the option for Hale. He actually has gone to Hale now. So they've stopped him from being. That means that he is no longer that free player.
So Wiggins is the loose now?
I think, is it Scotland or Wiggins is playing that loose player?
It could be Chief.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's Wiggins playing that free player now across half back.
Well, they had no other option. Hale was going to tear the game apart.
What? Oh. Well, they all fell over, apparently with some help. It's against Hale. Carlton free kick at left half back to be taken by Waite. Oh, there was some pushing there.
A little bit there.
Waite's got the football, goes short to Murphy.
This is where they've been stopped off half back. The run's nowhere near as what it was in the first term.
Judd uses the ball to good effect. Thornton goes down towards right half forward. Checking off the ball was Russell. Paddling it in front is Brown. Brown keeps it in like silver service. Slips a hand pass across to Harvey. Harvey hugs the boundary line. Hansen, well, he tried to help the ball on its way. Knocked forward by Harris. Getting back is Wiggins. Slips it away. Walker. Now Thornton. Cruiser. Walker stayed wide. He's at right half back. Looking down the line. Nothing much on. Now goes very short and hits Cloak on the chest. Cloak, who earlier in the term took a terrific big grab.
That was a spectacular grab. Their problem at the moment is they haven't actually been able to find a winner across half forward, Carlton. Each time they've tried to penetrate that part of the ground, North Melbourne has been able to shut them down.
Russell to Judd, who turns back around, fires it into Carazzo. Carazzo spots Simpson. Simpson's got it on the 50. Well, at the moment, Harding is running with Judd, and Judd has had a couple of possessions in the last few moments, and some confusion in defence, and as a result, Cloak, who moments ago had the ball on the wing, will now line up at goal.
Well, this was the other play that I watched before the game. Cloak was kicking them from 60 metres straight through the middle, like Brendan Favola has been so far. He was kicking the ball beautifully.
He must have amazing endurance, Chris Judd. He's actually run Rawlings into the ground. He's on the interchange bench at the moment having a rest, and he's still out there.
Let's have a look how his kick translates into the match.
Going at his second, and that's beautiful. A thing of beauty.
Well, good sign for him. He's the big ruckman's gone forward. He's kicked a couple of goals now, and that's where you've got to try and hurt the opposition when you are a ruckman. Get forward, become dangerous, and that's, you just see him sneak down there through the middle of three players. They had a lot of numbers back. Really good play. Identified the space, and like he was before the match, kicked that beautifully.
They were so Favola conscious then that they actually forgot about Cloak.
North by 26 points. Hey, Ricky, what's up?
I've just been watching the way the Kangaroos are playing Chris Judd. Brady Rawlings has got the main job, but when he comes off for a spell, they put Lee Harding to him. Now, Lee Harding doesn't have a big tank, but the instruction to him is actually try and run forward on Juddy and trying to hurt him the other way. So that's the way they're trying to work on Juddy. Just on Daniel Harris, too, playing a lot of discomfort with a crook shoulder.
Grant to Harvey. Harvey down towards half forward. Mark is taken by Campbell, who's been well held. Looks inside the forward 50, and exactly what Ricky was talking about.
That's a really good point that Ricky made then, too. And I watched them as they broke from the centre. Harding went hard forward. Judd took about 10 seconds to actually make up his mind about what he was going to do. By that stage, Harding had already slipped into that hole.
But it's Brent Harvey, I should say, coming off half back, that's getting the ball as a link-up player and really just causing Carlton serious problems.
Harding steps inside the 50, and this one just bends right to left. Call me old-fashioned, Tim, but at the same time, it's tough being a great player in this AFL competition at the moment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the coaching is so smart. I mean, they look at each player, they break them down, they look at what they can't do. And I think that's been sort of one of the tactics that's been employed against Chris Judd over the last couple of years. If you can actually get somebody who runs hard forward and you can rotate a couple of players on him, that's the way that you can actually hurt him going back the other way. But you've got to be able to control the ball to do that.
But eventually that can lead to less game time for people like the man we're watching with the football now, Judd. He gets exposed. Whether you want your stars off as much as perhaps coaches will eventually be forced to do. That was a terrific grab by White. Going back, terrible kick though. Sinclair stumbles over the football, falling to the ground. Simpson did well. Wells, Petrie, that's got to be holding the ball.
They're away here too. They've got numbers
Not
everywhere.
sure it was Stevens' kick to have. Doesn't matter. Got it to Russell. He slams it at Simpson. Simpson to Stevens. Stevens thought his way through that. Back towards Russell. Now it's with Brown. Brown short. Honours the lead for Favola.
Wow. They nearly blew it. They nearly blew it then. Simpson, he got the handball. It was like a rocket.
They're untidy, weren't they?
From 2 metres away, he nearly put a hole through him, and Urquhart just made Brown make sure he hit the target.
It was Russell who fired out the hand pass.
Gee whiz.
What actually saved them then was the fact that they had numbers that kept coming.
Yeah. Soft hands. In practice, in training the whole way.
It's like
just lollipop it in front.
It's like those people who leave their phone number. There's no prize for leaving it so quickly on your answering service. Favola comes in and kicks his fifth.
What they've been able to do, though, the Kangaroos, that every time Carlton get a little bit of a run on, they come back and get a goal straight away. This centre clearance becomes super important. Harvey off half-back, Lee Harding in there, Brody Rawlings back onto the ground. They need to win this centre clearance, the Blues. Still 3 minutes of play left. They want to link a couple of goals together, but on that occasion, Jarrad Waite took a mark on half-back, which became super important in them getting a forward entry inside 50.
So that margin, at least manageable now. It's 21 points. Urquhart's off the ground, so his chin, I think, copped the head of Brown.
That's what happens when you don't protect yourself.
That sort of game, really. Petrie backhands it down. The Blues get another one. Simpson, Cruiser somehow, assisted by Stevens. Simpson did well, though, backing up there for North. Grant being used in the centre square for the moment. Came out wide to Brown. Poor kick. Wiggins indecisive, but juggled the mark. Didn't know whether to take it in the hands or mark it on the chest.
They look more balanced with Waite picking up Hale. Wiggins now the loose. They look more. Oh, they look a lot better in the air in particular.
Another goal would make it interesting at half-time. Thornton got it from Waite. Taken by Scotland. And this is testimony to Carlton. The way they fought back here could have been blown away.
Been good, this big fella, Plug.
Plug on the outer side.
Spied by his brother on Friday night.
Hugs the boundary. Fisher leads back in the race. Boundary line is too close, but not a bad result for the Blues, who can regroup under 2 minutes out from half-time.
And I reckon while you've got that deep pool of talent in the midfield, you're always a chance of coming back to.
Yeah.
Judd's having a bit of a spell at the moment. They've still got Stevens, Gibbs, and also Murphy out there in the midfield at the moment.
Gibbs at close quarters to Russell. Russell in desperate trouble, being held to him. Will have a ball up inside the 50.
Especially in a game that's pretty open. There's not a lot of stoppages. The game's free flowing. You're always a chance when you're scoring quickly.
Petrie directs it down. Grigg in trouble.
Oh, no.
Banging away like Charlie Watts.
Punch the footy, mate. That's fine.
There was a head in there too. Ferrito points to his scone. Rucks go at it again. Just for the moment, the game getting tight. Wells.
Yours, mate. Yours.
Harding. Stevens. He's got busy in the last few minutes.
And that was a tired kick by Burma Harvey. I reckon it's almost time for him to come off. There's only a minute and a bit to go, but he looked tired.
There goes the kick long from Stevens. That's not the kick of a tired man. Was it against the post? Forced across the line.
He almost got it there, didn't he?
He knew that he had every chance there and may have just blown it.
That was a clear opportunity to mark there for Favola. He moved to Gibson just ever so slightly off the ball, and I think he was surprised that it carried right into his arms.
50 metres, it's 50 metres. No. And another 52. You knocked the ball out of his hand, that's 2 50s.
Well, that'll bring him
Yes,
almost.
you knocked it out of his hand. It was only 5 metres from me. I saw you take it. You knocked it out of his hands.
Well, the 250s will bring him almost into scoring range there.
Yeah.
He's going to be inside 50. In fact, he's going to be about 40 metres out from goal.
Doesn't matter what's happened, you know you can't do that in footy, don't you? You can't go in and knock the ball out of a guy's hands.
You can't, no. And a critical stage of the game too. They're just on their way back. They've drawn the margin back to 20 points. They've worked their butts off.
Another metre, please. Thank you.
Just listening to the umpire, though, there was no clear direction on who actually had the footy.
You still can't knock it out of anyone's hands.
Is that warrant of 100 metres?
Harding's got the football. And Harding has sprayed it to the right, has he? No, it's working its way back. It's good.
I'm not exactly sure what happened there. He's given away 50 initially, then he's knocked it out of his. It's a tough penalty.
Well, if you know you gave away the 50, you can't knock it out. We need to listen again, don't we?
I don't reckon he knew what that there was even a first 50 paid. Here it comes.
Well, it doesn't tell us a lot. We need to hear the umpire and what he had to say.
But even, you'd have to say, even if he wasn't aware the first 50 had been paid, he was aware of the fact that it was North Melbourne's ball, so why would you knock the ball out of his hands in the first place?
I've got the answer. Because he's the Fev.
Yeah.
There's the bounce.
Beautiful
For better or
tap.
for worse, Cruiser superbly done. Got it down to Murphy, who gave it to Stevens. Kick comes inside the 50. Was the Fev being held that time? Oh, down he goes. Over the top comes Fisher, who could have been pushed in the back.
Let it up, Jordan. Thank you. Let it go, let it go.
I think Fev's down there and in ill humour.
Fev's got him in a scissor headlock there.
Yeah, I know.
Get now.
Yeah, he wants another one in there too. One more of the same. Pow. Harding. Well, not another 50. Oh, dear. I was going to say halving your losses wouldn't be a bad way to go.
Still going on with it too. 5 of them involved in a little bit of a howdy-doody. Oh,
If you've joined us late, Fev's having a good day. He's kicked 5 goals.
You get reported for that.
Yes, I'm reporting you for charging, okay? Lee, it's 50 as well. Lee!
That was
Lee,
the
I'm
bloody
reporting you
Blues.
for charging. You marked it and charged, right? 50 metres, yes.
They've fallen apart in the last couple of minutes here, Carlton. They need to regroup. They need somebody out there to show some real leadership.
Well, the problem is their captain sitting on the bench, Chris Judd.
Well, here's the free kick, okay? So there's the penalty against Favola in the first place. That led to the first free kick. And then Wiggins, he had a decision to make. It's a really tough one because he's coming at 100 miles an hour, but he actually had to pull up in the last 5 strides.
And Daniel Wells coming off.
Here it is. Okay, so he's actually braced himself for the bump, so he actually had time to make up his mind there.
Well, the right man's got the whistle. Michael Vozzo doesn't take much nonsense. And he's been strutting out these 50s, all of them. And now Harding, who's been the beneficiary a couple of times, puts it out of bounds on the full. He's not happy. Fev's not happy.
It's on him. It's on in the middle there. A little bit of feeling in this game at the moment. And
Stay right out of it. Mark!
Adam Simpson, Chris
Melbourne.
Judd's come in.
A chance if they win to go to 4th. Carlton, if they win, can be in the 8th tonight. Not inconceivable, and as a result, the tension is starting to spill over now. Half-time at the Dome. North Melbourne, who dominated proceedings early in that term. Carlton fought back, and then something very strange happened to the Blues. 13-5, 9-3. A lot to look forward to. Dean Laidley joins his players on the ground. He's a feisty customer. He loves this sort of situation. He's reveling in the moment. This is Sunday footy. Half time at the Dome. North Melbourne lead it by 26 points. It's 13-5 to 9-3. Sean Grigg is playing this afternoon. Last week he had a career high 25 possessions and earned the nomination as the NAB Rising Star.
Welcome to the Carlton Football Club. I'm Cade Simpson and I'm here with NAB Rising Star winner Sean Grigg.
Grigg is there, scoops up the ball with the left foot, unloads from 40, likes it, they kick 2 in a minute.
You started the game really well. First quarter, I think you kicked a goal.
No, it's funny you mention that goal, Cade, because you know that you're the one that set it up, so thanks.
Charging through, Heathshaw for Bowler. Lunges at O'Brien. Heathshaw's in there. The bowler emerges with it, fitting in many ways. The kick bounces through from Grigg.
The boys have been going pretty well over the past few weeks. There's obviously a lot of confidence. What do you put that down to?
I suppose every game we play together is closer that we get, and we know each other's games, and we're only going to get better from here.
You just signed a new 2-year deal contract, Sean. Rumour is that it's roughly up there near Fev and Juddy's.
It might be near Fevs and Juddy's, but it's nowhere near yours, Cade.
He said to me earlier this week that you're probably the reason for Carlton changing its fortunes round and being up near the top 8 this year.
No, well, you're a comedian as well as an AFL player, but
Rats gave you a nice little pump up in the press this week.
I thought Grigg's first half around stoppages was outstanding.
I suppose when it comes your way, you take it, but don't look too far ahead, one game at a time.
Yeah, a lot to like about this team.
Oh. Wow. Watch this for courage. And this is what Auskick's all about. Just young tackers getting back up. And look at the teamwork and support. Got the earring in. Got the rat's tail. He's tough as nails. Good on him. Good on him. Out here at the Telstra Dome. That's what NAB Auskick's all about. Well done.
Inspired me. Richmond against Hawthorn. The early game today, and we've got a surprise for you. How about this? The Tigers roll the Hawks big time. 31 points. No, 29 points. 16-9 to 10-16. Lance Franklin gets 3 goals. Fev already with 5. Let's go down to Ricky.
Good on you, Dennis. I actually wandered around to the Carlton rooms at half-time after we saw that blue just before half-time. I was expecting the walls to be shaking. I thought Brett Ratten would really give a rocket to Brendan Favola. It was actually pretty quiet in there. Ratts went into the coach's room to do a bit of planning, and the rest of the boys just did a bit of recovery. I'm sure he would have given a bit of a rocket just before they've come out here for the third quarter. Just before half-time, the Kangaroos had some injury concerns. Gavin Urquhart got a whack to the jaw. He's out there, so he's going to start on the ground. And Daniel Wells limped off the ankle injury. Looked pretty serious before half-time, but he's out there too, so they're right to go.
Good on you, Rick. Jason Saddington gone into the forward line for the Blues after being towed up by David Hale.
And Gibson's had 5 kicked on him by Favola, but Dean Laidley's still happy with that matchup, so he believes probably it's got more to do with the supply that Favola's had as opposed to the job that Gibson's been doing on him one-on-one.
So Carlton with some work to do.
Sorry, Dan. Bryce Gibbs has gone in and he'll make sure that Lee Harding doesn't have an influence like he did have in the first half.
So a lot of plotting and planning taking place during the major break. Start of this second half. Good bounce to get us underway. Cruiser and Petrie. Judd had it. Spilled out the back. Petrie's over the football. Did he dive on it? It slid out behind him. Hand pass comes from Harvey. Thomas feeds it back. Wells has got it now. Drives inside the forward 50. Carlton have got a hold here. Punched away by Walker. Swooping on the loose ball, Simpson. Walker, hurried kick back towards midfield. Nobody went at the football. It bounces for Simpson. Simpson got a hand pass to Wells, who squares it out towards right half forward and Grant.
They're going to fix up that area of the game, the clearances. They're 15-7 out of the centre now. Kangaroos' favour.
Urquhart down towards the pocket this time, ghosting across the front of the pack and knocking it out of bounds is Walker.
Here it is. No one went at the footy. Scotland thought, oh no, I'll leave it. And sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and go for it.
Cruiser directs it down, came back to him, tackled almost immediately. Jones did well, got it out. Rawlings fires and kicks it out of bounds on the full.
He's one of the best follow-up ruckmen in the game already, isn't he, Cruiser? He actually contests the ball in the air, and he's one of the first players to get back down onto the ground.
Bit of Jimmy Steins about him, I reckon. Just get the feeling he's not going to be a dominant knock ruckman necessarily, but around the ground he's going to be invaluable. Scotland on the outer side.
President qualities then?
What was that, mate?
Has he got presidency qualities?
I thought you said that. There's Scotland pushing up the ground. Murphy. Oh, strong mark taken by Clark. Hasn't he been good?
He's been very good. Very, very good.
Simpson.
Russell.
60 metres out. Russell. Well, eventually looked like a spoiler there. Cruiser put the head down with courage, deserves a free kick. Yes, he is presidential.
That's what I love about him, and he is desperate to win control of the ball here. No concern whatsoever for his safety when he went for that ball. You don't see too many big blokes actually competing like he does at ground level. Good on him for winning a free kick.
Well, their big boys have been good. Cruiser, Cloak, and there he is there.
Ox, I reckon their best chance of winning this game, the Carlton side, is if they actually run and share the ball like we just saw in that last passage of play. Their possessions are way down on where they were last week. They had 400 last week, and they're operating at about 320 pace at the moment.
Got up, got the football, looked at umpire Vozzo and said, "Tanks," as he puts it through.
He's a lovely kick. Set shot at goal. There's very few ruckmen, and we've only seen a year of it, but he certainly knows what's going on. There he is flying for the footy. He gets back up, and this is probably his other quality too. His second and third efforts. Power just sloppy there. He had to get down and get in and under, but When your ruckmen are doing that, and as you said before, Tim, his awareness once he does go to ground where the ball is still alive, he doesn't give up. It's a good trait to have.
Margin back to 20, and he's back in the middle. Cruiser.
Can they win
63.
Sorry, Dan. Can they win a centre break? This is where they need to improve their play, Carlton.
Ruckman fought a draw. Yes, they can. Gibbs, Stevens, they've got the quality in there, no question about that. Stevens goes out wide to Murphy. Murphy forward of the wing, looks back towards the middle. What was he thinking?
Well, he saw Fev on the lead, and he only saw Fev. He had to open his eyes and look down. Players plugging the holes in front of Fev.
Simpson was the man who took the mark. Away to Power, drives it around the outer side. Awkward half volley. Jones did pretty well. Knocks it back towards a teammate. Hansen goes after the football. White wrestles him down, and the umpire has no alternative.
There's good effort there by Jones to keep the ball alive. And in that situation, you just can't cough it up. You've got to hold it in and just hope for a 50-50.
Over the top, Simpson loves that roll, third man up. Stolen by Murphy, though. Stevens to White. White kicks towards half forward. Well, Russell needed to go back. It cleared him.
He's not fit, Russell, I don't think.
Well, a little 1-2 there from Thomas. Last man in the chain is Petrie. He comes away. Rawlings was involved as well, and Hansen takes a terrific mark on the wing.
Gee, he's starting to show a bit, isn't he, Hansen?
Well, in front of a pretty good defender to him, White, he was just too strong.
Highly credentialed youngster, Hansen, but like all those more key position type players, they take a little bit longer to actually develop.
Free kick.
Hale must get the free, no doubting that. He was held and pushed.
Well, you've got to get front position against a player like that. You just got to get front position and hope that you've got a little bit of help from behind.
Hale goes short. McMahon inside the forward 50. Man on the mark is about 45 from goal. He'll kick from right on the line.
Won't matter. He's a beautiful long kick of the ball. It's only about accuracy. Length is no issue here for McMahon.
Stay clear, Brent. Nick.
Doesn't look confident, though.
Lays it off. Wells. They did the unexpected. Wells fires. Hasn't got the distance. Explain that, Ox.
I don't know. Unless he's injured himself, because McMahon can kick that distance, not a problem.
Simpson, that's Cade Simpson out of the goal square to Carrazzo in the back pocket. Play on's the call. Don't know what he did wrong. Now almost took it out of bounds. Back to Simpson. The educated bounce after the hand pass, runs out of bounds. We'll have a throw in.
In the end, that was their best result there too, Dennis. They got themselves in all sorts of trouble. Here's the punch away from Hale. He almost grabbed hold of that.
Wiggins just a bit ginger.
Simpson once more. Walker jabs it out wide. Russell can take it and go. Probably should have. He goes in short. Cloak has it inside the centre square. The overlap is Judd. Telling kick towards Favola. He's outnumbered though, and that's the problem. Favola looks back, claiming he was held. There's a chase on around the outer side. Fev's not interested. Harvey running down towards half forward. On the lead down there, and misjudging everything was Hale. Thornton, White. I think it's Wiggins who's down again. He's in the wars. Cloak feeds it across to Simpson, getting busy. So too Judd through midfield. Knew he had some numbers to the outside. Russell delays the hand pass. Simpson, a left footer, wants to come inside. Another poor kick inside the forward 50. Wonderful dash from Petrie. Gave it to Rawlings. In the hands of Harding now. Back come North Melbourne. Harding through midfield. Gets the ball back. No, he does not. Now he does. Simpson improvising. Shrugs off White. Kicks inside the forward 50 and finds Jones.
Oh, Lee Harding. Take a bow.
That was a free kick, though. That was dropping the ball. Incorrect disposal.
Jones short to Grant. Well, it was like a tug of war in the middle.
I reckon that first tackle by Carlton in the middle of the ground there, and I think it was incorrect disposal. It was a solid, smart tackle here. This tackle here.
Just dropped it, didn't he?
He just dropped it, Simpson.
Geez, White had to just get hold of Harding there. We know that Harding's not the strongest man in the comp, but he pushed White away as though...
How poor has their kicking been, though, once they've got inside 50?
Well, and they're too Favola conscious.
It's been vintage Shannon Grant this afternoon. He's lining up at his fourth right here. That fixed him.
It's a way to slow one down, Dan.
I reckon he did it deliberately then.
Let's have a look at the Fev. He went for a mark.
Was he held? You could argue that Gibson had his arm wrapped up in that marking contest, and here's Fev just given the umpire a bit of a roof for looking to spray. They've had trouble clearing the ball, haven't they, all afternoon?
That was a strong mark for Rito. Comes back to the middle, and Pratt's got it right on the 50. 85 plays 63.
They've got to be careful here, Carlton, because they've got some loose players around, and there's a lot just standing in the hole.
Yeah, I know. He's right on it.
The good news for the Blues is they finished their games very strongly this season, but then again, so too of North Melbourne.
North Melbourne had their best second quarter of the year today.
Pratt from 60 gives it a ride. Has it got the carry? Touch and go. It was touched.
Now this is their problem, Carlton, actually clearing the ball here. They're much better. Quick kick out.
Walker's got it. Kicks it up towards the wing. Big leap from behind by Brown. Cloak running out of space. Didn't want to put it out deliberately and or on the full, and now it's taken across the line by Sinclair. Let's get down to Ricky Olorenshaw.
Well, Dan, you mentioned before that Simon Wingard's copped a bit of a double whammy. He's had to come to the bench with an injured ankle. He's on the bike at the moment. He's actually become an important player for Carlton because in the last 6 weeks he's actually ranked #1 in the AFL in score assists.
Scotland been watching Chris Judd just wrenched the ball away, then had the presence of mind to look around, surveyed the scene, went to Fisher, and Fisher goes long to full forward, didn't have the distance, helped across the line behind to the Blues.
Gee, that was a clever kick there by Heath Scotland. 2-on-1 there. They're not giving Fev any latitude whatsoever. I reckon he's now got to play a sacrificial game in this second half, be the dummy lead, and get the Fishers and the Walkers and these other players around that are playing up in the forward line to be the lead-up players where their men are zoning off. Wells is free.
Margin, 22 points. A loss today, and the Blues can kiss the finals goodbye. Even then, they're going to have to work hard to make it. Pratt to himself and then to Wells. Wells at right half back up towards the wing. Oh, good mark by Harris.
He's hurt
and he
too.
bounced. He did bounce. They don't often bounce when they land. Harris did. Look at him. He jumps to his feet.
It's a good spongy surface out here today, Dan. That is a great mark. And good pressure too by Simpson.
I think umpire James would have been proud of that one. Jones has got it. The collision between the teammates Saddington and Brown.
They've looked much better than Carlton this afternoon when they've had to control the footy like this, North Melbourne, on a slow play. But that's good play by Carlton. He's forced them to kick it down to a contest down the line.
At the 50, the target was Hale. Staying off the pack was Rawlings to Thomas. Thomas slips it away. Harvey 25 metres out. Kicks the goal. Inspirational.
Well, the real danger signs. Oh, there we go. He's right into it. The real danger sign here for the Blues is that Thomas and Campbell have had really no influence on the game, and they're still getting a heap of goals scored here. Just see here, players coming through. Good piece of crumbing. And a good finish by Harvey. When he gets a shot inside 50, it's very rare that he misses.
Brent Harvey, 21 goals for the season. He kicked 36 last season, which was a career high. Equal second from the Brownlow last season. Brent Ratton working overtime now. The season's slipping away. You can scent that.
8 goal kickers now for the Kangaroos.
Sharing his frustration, the coach, with Gavin Krasiska. Coming away from the middle, Harris inside the forward 50. Jones.
Can't stop that.
That's 17-8 now out of the centre, and that puts enormous pressure. You're right, Ox. That puts enormous pressure immediately on your back line, because there's one stage of the game where you're going to find some space. It's at the centre bounce. And they leave that hole, and he's got a good pair of hands too, Corey
As much
Jones.
as he said about Carlton's midfield, it just highlights how underrated the North Melbourne midfield is. They may not be the flashiest, but they work together as good as any combination in the competition.
Jones comes in, starts at left. Big pack at the drop, hands to it down there from Hampson, couldn't hang on. Thomas tries to slap it goalward, in goes Hale, he's tied up.
I reckon Dean Laidley is a very underrated coach. I reckon what he does nearly week in, week out is he takes away your strength and he plays through his own strength. He's really good at doing that as a coach. Very good tactically.
Rucks go at it. Falls to Saddington. Cade Simpson deep in his own defence. Russell. Now Thornton drives it short of the wing, flying from behind. He's done that a couple of times. Ferrito hit the ground running and spots a man on the lead. Petrie is marked 40 metres out. And the understanding there was superb. Petrie must have been taking off as Ferrito got hands to the football.
The thing about that, Tim, what you're saying about playing to these strengths and then trying to smash the weaknesses, Carlton have always had trouble getting it out of 50. If you've got a question mark over them, it is their decision makers in their defence, and that's where they've really hurt them, just giving them no time or space.
Petrie,
great kick,
has kicked the goal. That hurts.
Once again, they just got squeezed. I thought Simpson actually could have taken the ball through for behind. Decides to give off a dodgy handball, and they are constantly kicking to a 2-on-1 coming out, and that 16-man zone that the Kangaroos are able to set up, Ferrito's in the last line of that. He's come off the wing and cut it off, and that's a great setup. That zone has killed Carlton when they've been trying to exit their defensive 50.
So the margin is blown out to 34. And that tells the story. The tall timber creating all sorts of problems. Although that time it was a tall man on a short lead.
Well, Harris, Power, Rawlings up against Gibbs, Judd and Stevens. We'll see who wins it out.
Rawlings goes after it, coming off the line of the square Wells. Got it across to Sinclair. Draws a man. They fan out beautifully. Harris has got it from Rawlings. Goes down towards half forward. Wonderful courage there from Hampson going back. Hales over the football. Urquhart gets a hand pass away to Rawlings, becoming a real factor now with the football. Well done by Thornton to Judd. Gibbs looks wider, goes outside. Fisher's got the football. They've got to make this one work. Long kick. The bowler was up. Couldn't hang on. Ferrito comes away. Gave it to Urquhart. Urquhart towards the wing. Simpson, the skipper, had to wait. And it's going against Greg for knocking the arms. That would have been a more effective spoil. The punch from that spectator.
That's rubbish.
Spectator. Wells in short. And Ferrito. Ferrito, like a bullet.
They've just let up all day, North Melbourne. They've always given the kicker options. It's very rare that they've had to kick down the line because they're out of time.
Grant goes back. Urquhart through the centre square. Long again to the tall men. Hale was up. Was it Petrie? Doesn't matter. Carlton come away with it. Russell, look away, hand pass. Armfield misses the target. Urquhart back to half forward, and Petrie, involved moments ago, has taken the mark 60 metres out, goes skirting the perimeter and finds Wells. Wells sees the leading Hale. Hale comes up. Well done by Brown going back into the hole. Got a hand pass from Thornton. Carazzo, Thornton and Carlton dodge a bullet there. Short one comes out to Murphy. And Jamison. Now Judd. Scotland untidy at the feet of Walker. Did well though. Just pushed Simpson away. Walker 75 metres out. Behind is Fisher. Coming over the top is Watt. Now
Ben's got to stop worrying about the umpire and just start playing, because he's getting enormously frustrated with the attention that he's receiving.
And the fans having a lot to say down there. Carlton supporters.
Good call too on being untidy. The Blues have actually been in an advantage position so many times this afternoon, which through bad skill error has actually become a disadvantaged position.
That's a beautiful kick. Murphy towards the middle. Oh, awkward bounce. Beat Fisher. Just needed a metre more on it. Sinclair. Delays and delays. He got it from Watt. Now he goes to McMahon. McMahon just jabs it to space. Harvey fell over, got to his feet, and he's still going. Just runs away from his opponent and puts it through from 40.
Well, you can maybe hand him another 3 votes this afternoon, and they've got 8 cold kickers, North Melbourne. But once again, we talked it. Now, there was a bad bounce, but the ball actually didn't hit its target, and that's why they turned the ball over. And how many times have we seen that this afternoon, Carlton, either by hand or by foot, when they've been in an advantage position, they're on the march, they're going into attack, and they don't hit their target, and that gives North Melbourne the opportunity to turn the ball over.
(16-8), 10-4.
That will be a focus of, I would think, Brett Ratton's concentration over the summer months. Just continual work on their skills, because if they're going to play this high-octane possession style of football, then they have to maintain possession of the ball.
Scotland. The remarkable thing about that last goal to Harvey, he actually slipped over alongside his man. His man slowed down. He sprang to his feet, ran hard and got the football, and suddenly put about 15 metres space between he and the man chasing. Watt's hand pass not good. Well done, Fisher. Stevens thought about the hand pass, then reeled it back in. Forward of the wing, kicks inside the 50. That's a wonderful mark. Oh.
Go back and take it.
Fair. Just settle down. Oh.
No, he caught it.
Gee.
That was a great mark, though. It really was.
Gibson?
It was a great mark. No, not by Gibson, by Favola. Good play there by Stevens, that too. I mean, he was right there, Gibson.
But this is what you don't need to do. You don't need to put the ball in the player's face.
He's lucky. I mean, he's just lucky it's not taken off him.
Just don't need to do that. That's just showing disrespect.
It also shows that he has a lack of concentration, though, too, for Favola. His mind wanders far too much.
The best and the worst today. He's a vast talent. There's no question about that. And this might just underline it. Well, he hit the post.
He just said, how about paying some free kicks?
Well, that last one that sort of got the spectators agitated down in the forward pocket, umpire Vozzo was 5 metres from it.
But Vozzo's not going to give a 50-50 decision after the way that he's been spoken to for the afternoon, is he?
No. It's taken Fev a long time to work up to that, though. Umpires are human. They will respond, not always in the affirmative. Wells, Pratt. Someone was watching the little guy in the Little League as it comes up towards the wing. Here's a chance behind now for Power. Slips it back inside to Simpson. Simpson spots Grant on the move. This kick held him up, unfortunately. Getting in behind, though, and spinning out of trouble was Thomas. Could have been taken high. Bouncing goalward. Petrie is down there. Waite's got him. What's the call? Throw it in. What an anticlimax.
Gee, they transfer the ball so well, North Melbourne, when they find an error.
He was close to holding the ball too. Stevens comes away. Delicate kick. It's perfect. Scotland close to the boundary line. Fisher. They're being forced wide now. They're losing the battle in midfield. Fisher's got the football. Under 5 minutes till three-quarter time. Wiggins offers, and that's a strong mark.
Well, you're right, because what's happening is North Melbourne, when they're hitting the targets, they're hitting it with ease. The Blues are giving their defenders an opportunity to cut it off.
Thornton comes back across the ground. White.
Walker's free.
Goes in short, but again, didn't hit the man cleanly. Simpson held up momentarily, gave it to Murphy. And this kick is well marked going back. Hansen at full stretch. It was intended for Favola. Hansen. And now Simpson. Just seems to be more belief in their kicking, North Melbourne. It's more a kick in hope from Carlton since midway through that second term.
Sorry, Dan, they get the win today. They go into the top 4, which 99% of the footy world probably wouldn't have thought that was possible from this group.
I'm not sure after the last month of football they're not the second best side in the competition either.
Yeah,
they're solid down back. They've got scoring options, and their midfield's been pretty good as well.
So they are one side that can mix it with Geelong.
Well, they might find out in the first week of the finals, mightn't they, if they finish 4th. Here's Hansen.
Well, last time they played in the final, it was on before the bounce.
Drives it around that outer side wing. Almost the mark to Cloak, stretching back. Harris arrived quickly, gave it to Power. Power pulls it back towards half forward. What a clever kick. Grant juggled attempt at the mark. Jamison knocked it away. Well done by Thornton. Gave it to Stevens to White. Armfield. Now Walker, who's gone out of the game, kicks it up towards the wing. Wiggins, a runner inside Armfield. He's about 75 metres from goal. Looks towards the middle. Favola was the target again. And they are a one-trick pony at the moment. The mark was taken by Pratt, who kicks it towards the outer side.
Even Cruz is looking up the field saying, kick the ball long. I'm in the goal square. You don't have to go to Fev each and every single time.
There was even a taller target just beyond Fev. Then Cloak was, he drifted into some space.
Missed by Harris, who knocks it on. The kick came from Power. Judd gets back, lays it off. Carranzo pushes up the ground. White. The longer it's gone, the better he's got. Scotland sells a teammate into trouble. Simpson, well played, got it away to Brown. Favola, third man in the queue, did some pushing. He won't like this. He will not like this.
Every time they've gone to Favola, this quarter in particular, he's had 2 or 3 players on him. They just have to lower their eyes, keep this back line of North Melbourne honest by actually hitting another target, even if it's a half kick and it goes 25 metres. At the moment, they're just reading the play beautifully, North Melbourne. They know that the ball's going to go for Favola.
This bloke's been good.
They're winning these marking contests one-on-one, aren't they? Body to body. That was another clever mark from Grant. Hansen was the man who drove it along that outer side. 104-65. And this constant going to Favola, do we believe that's under instruction or is it just instinctive?
Well, I think it's out of fear.
That can't be good.
You get the old stare and a bit gnarly.
Well, that's silly. Carrazzo, the defensive side of the wing, coming up. Cruiser that time off hands.
They're just feeding off it, aren't they, North Melbourne?
Yeah. Hansen.
Look at Harvey work. Brent Harvey's ran about 100 metres. He won't get it on this occasion, but he just takes defenders away.
He might.
McMahon thought about it, still thinking about it. Kicks close to the boundary line with intent. And that's the other thing with Favola on the lead. So often he's in open field, and as a result, if the ball hits the deck, it's swept away. North Melbourne playing the percentages that time. If they take it in quite often, it's close to the boundary, so players can get it out. Favola tends to be somewhere 45 degrees from the goalposts up the middle. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does.
Ball comes back from Sinclair. That was due. Wells, Harvey.
They just fight it back here, Carlton.
Burkhart, now Power. That's not such a good kick in. 2-on-1. Grant had no chance. Waiting behind Simpson. Goes to the outer side. Brown relished that situation like a charging bull. Knocked it back to Grant. Grant close to the boundary again, and again it's out of bounds. So they get a chance to regroup.
They've had a look at their forward line structure, Carlton, too. They've made a change. Cruz is now playing across half forward, and Judd's pushed forward, so he's going to play inside 50 alongside Brendan Favola. So maybe when they do go forward next time, his presence will draw the ball.
They win this stoppage, it'll be handy. North, they could get a late goal. Hale almost got it out the back. In goes Sinclair. He's claimed. Clock stops at 8 seconds.
It's been an impressive performance by North Melbourne.
Well, it's what it is. It's an experienced side that is well drilled against a side that can't hit its targets and is not as clever when they have got the footy.
Thomas, a snap, adds insult to injury with a magnificent goal right on the siren. Who got the tap? I'm not sure. It wasn't Carlton who knocked it down. Hansen.
That is beautiful. You can't. That's instinct right there.
And that may have been the final bullet. Three-quarter time. North Melbourne 17-8. Carlton 10-5. This is Sunday football. (17-8), 110 to 10-5, 65. Favola didn't add to his tally in that third term. He remains on 5. Grant has 3. Hale has 3. Outstanding performance by North Melbourne. And speaking of outstanding performances, what about those Tigers? Winners over Hawthorn today, 16-9, 105 to 10-16, 76. Lance Franklin booted 3. Let's take a look at the live ladder as it stands at the moment. And North Melbourne in 4th place. Next week The early game on Sunday pits them against guess who? Geelong. 50 points for Geelong, or rather for the Kangaroos, and they can certainly make a challenge. But next week, despite the fact they're in grand form, that is going to be some assignment. Let's go down to Ricky on the boundary.
Thanks, Dennis. I checked out what Brett Ratton got up to at three-quarter time. He spent a long time with his match-up boards and did move a lot of magnets around. I heard the name Boomer Harvey mentioned, probably trying to find a match-up for him, but the way Boomer's been playing the last few weeks and today, I don't think anyone can match up on him. Kangaroos got a bit of a concern with Matty Campbell. He came off just before three-quarter time, which I thought was a hamstring injury. They're hoping it's just cramp at the moment, so I reckon they might just rest him and not give him a run in this last quarter.
It's Boomer Harvey. Another outstanding game. 23 possessions to the moment. Murphy's got 22. Judd's got 21 for Carlton. And they're the big three on the ground. Brendan Favola, 5 goals. So he's made some inroads on Lance Franklin this afternoon, but was coming from a fair way back. Harris with dash. It's a hand pass back to Pratt. Pratt across the line of the square. Swung wider still by Harvey. Now Power, an emerging player. He's found his niche, and this ball bounces out of bounds.
Well, Walker's going to go and try to stay with Brent Harvey. Easier said than done. 23 again, as you said, Dan. He's been in unbelievable form. So hard to stop. And he works so hard at it as well.
Hansen knocked it down, stolen away by Nick Stevens. Missed by Watt. Slung was McMahon, and that ball doesn't release, so we've got a bounce. Just looking forward to next weekend, Tim. I mean, that's interesting. They're in terrific form, but they get a skilled stadium. The last place, I suppose, given the way they're playing, they'd want to go. You'd like to avoid Geelong until the finals, I'd suggest.
Well, they got them down there last year.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was before Geelong went on their winning sequence. So that is a reality check for any club, though, to come up against the Cats.
What you don't want to happen is, as Cruiser gets a free kick, you get the stuffing knocked out of you.
Yeah, you can dent your confidence very quickly.
Right. Brigg goes across the ground. Geelong capable of doing that, lurking behind Petrie, feeds it forward. Harvey, another possession, enticingly over the outstretched arm there of Waite, who did good enough, I think. And as a result, some pressure on North Melbourne. Petrie, though, keen to make amends, slips it out wide. Harvey steps back. Waite didn't. And the ball's out of bounds.
Well, there's no real noticeable changes to the way they're setting up in the forward line. Cloak actually is in the attacking 50. Carazzo's down there as well, and Favola's still playing out of the goal square. But it pretty much they've kept their forward line structure pretty much the same as they've played for most of the afternoon.
Wells to Harvey. This ball bounces down towards right half forward. Thornton committed to the ball. Jones just hung back. Hansen's got it 60 metres out, sets it up once more. Fisted away by Jamison. He goes and finds his own crumb. Heard a voice back to Armfield. They need to be careful. They've got the numbers, though. Saddington pops it to the pocket. Thornton looks up the middle of the ground. Rare for Carlton since half-time. Gibbs took the mark to Murphy. On the leaders, Wiggins alongside the centre circles. Comes out to Carazzo, just forward of the wing. On the move, deep in attack for Vola, and he's got the football. Now this will test him.
Good talking there. He's obviously called Cloak. He said it was mine. He probably should have called Cloak in. You're the eyes of the ears when you are behind, but Fev believes he's a better shot or a better opportunity at kicking the goal from a tight angle. You see Cloak here, he just said, no, got the call. Just pulled the hands down.
Fev is possibly right, although today Cloak has kicked accurately too. Favola, no easy kick this one, but he's a masterful kick. He's on the 50. Sets it on its way.
He's on.
That is a superb kick.
You get a little bit of everything when you watch Brendan Favola play football. We've got some brilliance in the first quarter. We've had the theatrics throughout the course of the day. We've had a couple of dummy spits. We've had 50-metre penalties. But
and 100-metre penalty as well.
100-metre penalty as well. But I reckon you give the ball and you direct the ball to this bloke anywhere around that arc, he's capable of kicking a goal. We saw him pre-game kicking the goal from there. And they have eyes. He has a wonderful kick.
You jog it off. Thanks, mate.
There's Juddy coming off with the blood rule. That was at a stoppage before. I think Power run into him. Collision of heads. He's a tough man. He didn't really flinch.
Now Power's coming off under his own power, but under the blood rule as well. Interesting, just taking a look at the leading goal kickers then in the race for the Coleman medal. Franklin got 3 today. He's 94. Favola's got 6, so he's 90. He's closing rapidly. Who knows, by the end of the day, they could be even. Still plenty of time. 17 minutes in the final term. It seemed Carlton are going to lose the match, but Fev may grab some glory. Petrie, again Harris with dash out of the middle. Unsung hero this afternoon inside the forward 50. Thomas, he stopped it with his chest. He took the pace off it. It's bounced up in the air and he caught it.
He hasn't had a great afternoon, Thomas. He's just had 7 touches, kicked that goal just before 3/4 time, but he's such a dangerous little forward. I reckon Harris has added that to his game, though. I haven't seen him actually play with that sort of dash before. He's an in and under type player. He's very much an inside midfielder, but most of the work that he does is in the scrimmages when he actually extricates himself and then puts someone else in the clear with a handball.
He's from the Sam Mitchell school. Saw the head clash between Judd and Power. That's why they're both off the ground. And Thomas does what he does best. Kicks the goal. Having a good season.
They've done that all afternoon, North Melbourne. As soon as Carlton kick a goal, they get the ball out of the centre. They win the next clearance. And they get the ball inside 50. And invariably they kick a goal. That's a way to deflate a side. That's how you stop run-ons. By counter-punching straight away. And he's had a quiet afternoon. Matty Campbell, he's been off with a stretching his back. He's had no influence. So their little forwards have been pretty quiet, but still kicking goals.
Margin 45 points. So the season all but over. They've made up some ground. There's no question about that. And this team is on the rise. Murphy.
Too long in the tackle.
Murphy will get the free kick.
Great crowd in, 43,406.
Kick comes out from Murphy, taken by Walker, 60 metres from goal. Downwards, full forward. In front, the place to be. Well done, Shannon Watt.
Well, that's a free kick to Favola. I mean, McMahon actually faced him off as the ball was coming forward, blocked his run to the ball, and actually cannoned into him. I mean, you can't do that. You've got to be watching the ball.
I was, and I missed what happened to Fev.
But the problem is, as soon as you give a little bit of lip to the umpires, they're human, they remember it, and those 50-50s aren't 50-50s anymore. They become 70-30s or 60-40s.
They're harder to win.
They are.
Sometimes they're unwinnable. Hansen, short. Harvey's got it.
Just another lazy 26 already today for Boomer.
Wells.
2 goals.
18 possessions for Wells. Said it last year in the finals. That's a big job for Dean Laidley to get the best out of this man. It's a clever kick again, so close to the boundary line.
Saddington's back on him. He's thinking, gee, just leave me alone, Hale.
Hale took the mark. Had he not marked, it probably would have gone out of bounds. Now we've got a whistle and a free kick is going to North Melbourne, and that may be the difference.
Well, that's rubbish.
That's a 50-50.
Yeah, up the other end there was much worse, and then that one was certainly. Have a look at it. It's there, but the other one that Tim was explaining absolutely was there, and.
Well, I think this is absolutely there too.
No, that's definitely a free kick.
Yeah, but if you're going to call them up one end, you call them up the other. We just wanted to be consistent then.
Different umpire, but I take your point entirely.
20 seconds, Corey.
His kick a goal where he slotted one through before was beautiful. We'll see how this one goes through.
Seen some good kicking at goal today.
Well,
this is no exception. Jones gets another one, his second.
He's going to have to put some pretty solid performances together too in the latter part of this season, Ox, for him to be a walk-up start for their final side, because he actually has fallen out of favour this year.
I reckon it's been since he got knocked out. He got knocked out the following week. He kicked 6, but after that he was quiet for about 6 weeks. I think he went back and played back in the VFL. But you're right, he's with Edwards coming back in and Thompson still got some qualities to.
Yes, you wonder about the future of Nathan Thompson. Will he get back into this team? not sure they like the structure with Jones and Thompson on the forward line. They've bought pace. They've gone for pace, and those guys don't generally deliver what has become their stock in trade. And this guy is doing it on the forward line in any case. Hale on the lead.
Will McIntosh slot back in, Den?
I would think so. Which means then you've got three big guys.
You've got a floating Petrie wherever you want, forward or back, wherever you need him. Hale, we know that he's becoming a very good forward.
Yeah, but somebody's going to miss out. I mean, if you put McIntosh back into the side, one of the big guys goes out.
Well, who could you drop? You couldn't drop Hale. You couldn't drop Petrie. You can play all three.
I think Lee Brown goes out of the side.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And Petrie then plays a slightly different role than what he's been required to play at the moment.
I think Lee Brown would think Lee Brown goes out of the side. There's Hale from 50 metres out. Has it got the carry? I doubt it. Off hands across the line. I mean, Petrie is so valuable. He can play anywhere. I mean, he can play at centre half back against Cam Mooney, for example.
Yeah, and he can go forward. And we've seen him kick 6 goals in a quarter before. And he can ruck. So he's got plenty of tricks to his game.
Greg to Walker. Thornton to Walker. Drives across the ground. Will it get there in time? I doubt it will. Contest. Jamison leads back in the race. Jones has got him. Incorrect disposal. Jones plays on wide of the mark. Runs to 53. Low trajectory towards full forward, but it's out of bounds on the full, and he's roundly told off by his teammates, but he looks pretty tired.
Good tackle. He went at the hips. Didn't fall for the fake that he tried to put on.
Terrible kick coming out, goes directly to Urquhart.
Gee, they've been good at pressing them all afternoon, though, haven't they? Every time the Carlton have got a ball deep in their defence, they've pushed their numbers up and made it really difficult for them to find their way through.
Pratt launches one. Harvey fancied himself in that pack. Fingertips to it. Well, Thomas got to his feet. They stayed off him. Comes back to Rawlings. Rawlings at close quarters to Sinclair. Sinclair bends it back. Still a live ball. Thornton. Murphy, who started so well, to the opposite pocket. That's better. Jamison. Nothing up ahead, although Scotland could be the next man in the chain.
And this is where they squeeze so well. The discipline of getting the numbers back and numbers into the hole.
Pratt, big punch forward.
Jess Sinclair's in trouble.
Both of them hurt again. That's the second big collision that Chris Judd has had this season. Jess Sinclair and Judd both down. Greg. If Sinclair's on his feet, Judd is still in the hands of the trainers on his knees. Gibbs, meantime, comes to right centre wing. Saddington.
He's winded.
Saddington goes short. I think it might be more than that. For Bowler, brilliantly done the first time. In trouble with his second one, though. And you can see around him, it's all blue and white. Rawlings, well worked. Simpson delayed the hand pass. Wells drives it to the 50. Well,
he's been unbelievable today.
That was a wonderful mark. He took care of Greg. Judd coming off the ground.
Oh, it's a good kick too.
It was a magnificent kick.
Oh, it's a beautiful kick. Brent Harvey, he worked so hard, and you know the clever piece of play in that was Thomas. He let out of the space. Here's Chris Judd.
Oh, bang!
I think that's wind.
No, I think it was a head-on-head. Just watch this closely again. Bang. Oh, yes, head-on-head. It looked like Sinclair actually got the worst of it, but he was up on his feet before Judd.
That's a really good lead there by Thomas out of the goal square just to create the space to take the players away.
Checking his jaw.
Harvey comes in, gets the goal. Brent Harvey has 3.
And normally it's the little blokes hitting up the big blokes inside 50, but with Brent Harvey, he's like an on-baller who can play centre half forward, full forward. There are very few positions on the ground. Let's have a look at this one again. Oh, that's a nose butt.
And that's 2 head clashes he's had, isn't it?
There was no bleeding on Judd's face from that clash, but when they went to the sidelines, they actually were checking his jaw. So I'm just concerned about his jaw or his cheekbone.
He's got 3, and he might have 3 votes as well, and he's got a headache, I would think. A couple of head clashes now, earlier with Power, and that time with Sinclair. Ouch. What do you make of it, Rick?
Just after the incident happened, the medical staff went out to Juddy as he was coming off the ground. He actually didn't want to come off. He wanted to stay out there. The medical staff forced him to the bench so they could check his cheekbone and his jaw, but it looks like he's been all cleared, and Juddy's he's warming up to get back out there again. He's keen.
So Walker gets the free kick. It's all academic now. He comes across to Grigg halfway through the term. 129 plays 71. Terrific opening term. And then it's become a one-horse race.
There's Harvey down the other end of the ground now.
Farito, little 1-2 with Simpson. No one went to him, so Farito decides to take off. Delusions of adequacy. He kicks inside the forward 50. Bounces in the direction of the man coming up from fullback. That's Jamison, who held his opponent away well. Created a path for Saddington, who gave it to Grigg. Pushing up the ground is Murphy then. Walker, sweeping hand pass. Well done, Sinclair. He'll be penalised, I would think, for this, but that's
gone.
Unfortunate, but wonderful at the same time. Just had a head clash. Kept his head over the football better than anyone on the approach to that football.
Well, Corazzo, he's got his head down, and so he should. It was a lazy, not getting back off the mark kick, and now he's been lazy for the second time, in that he saw the player behind him and he didn't want to work hard enough to cover the space. 2 errors in succession.
Farito went to Simpson, but what about Sinclair? I mean, just had that whack in the scone. Didn't occur to him to sort of bow out of that contest. Head down like a rabbit.
Again up this end now. Like a, just doesn't give up. He's like an Energizer bunny.
Sorry, Ox. Rawlings kicks. A goal, is it? Now the umpire rushing in to give the all clear. What about Sinclair? I'm going to stick at this.
He's had a good afternoon there too, Rawlings. He's done a pretty good job on just minimising the damage that Chris Judd might have been able to do. This is outside 50. Just watch this. 1, 2, 3. Right on the 50. He's almost kicked that into the North Melbourne player. And that just took off. And that laugh then on Rawlings' face was that he knows that he didn't get clean contact with the football then.
What's this again? That's sort of the crash position. The flight attendants,
boy, Sinclair.
The flight attendants tell you about that one. And he's been on enough planes to know. Murphy had it spill out the back. Wells knocks it across to support. Going to ground was Rawlings. Sinclair head down again. Like that. Lost the ball again though. Away comes Simpson. Simpson kicks inside the forward 50. Favola attracts a crowd. He might get a free kick. No, he won't. Thought he might have deserved one there as well. Farito drives it to the outer side. Tracking it as Urquhart. It's out of bounds.
The game's really been shut down this afternoon, Carlton. They had 70 inside 50s last weekend. They've had 36 this afternoon. They just haven't been able to get the ball in their hands and work it forward decisively.
Harris claimed by Stevens.
I think it's highlighted again too that Carlton, whilst they may be chasing Daniel Kerr, they need a key defender or they need another key forward before they need another midfielder.
They've been smashed this afternoon in the contested mark.
Yeah,
like the big fellows around the ground for North Melbourne have done an enormous amount of damage.
Wells cruising away, goes to Watt. Watt pulls it back. Saddington is there. Well, tried to punch away and Harding took the mark.
I think we might be seeing Jason Saddington play his last couple of games too. He's been a very good footballer for a long time, but he may not be. Could be a free kick, but
Hanson might have been a bit lucky there.
Yep.
Pulling the arm down in the marking duel.
And Saddington unlucky. But Harding, oblivious to all of that, is lining up for his third goal.
Got to kick through it. He does stab at them when he's this close sometimes.
He's kicked it free to Lee Harding.
4 players now that have kicked 3. Shannon Grant, Brent Harvey, David Hale and Lee Harding. That's 4 lots of 3 goal kickers. It's a very good spread. McMahon's got one, Hanson a couple, Jones a couple, Lindsay Thomas a couple. They've spread it beautifully. And this is the dangerous thing for other sides that come up against North Melbourne. On who do you actually stop? Because when you stop some of their keys, other players from half forward and wings come down and slot them through like Harding has.
It's a blowout now. 141 plays 71. They've made progress, but a reality check this afternoon. Cruiser crashed to the ground. Coming through was Harvey. In the opposite direction was Murphy. It goes out towards the boundary. Rawlings pushed off the line of the football. Harris with dash. Rawlings
just had numbers all around the ball today.
Urquhart to Power. Power looks across the ground. He's found a spot too, hasn't he, Power? Sam Power really playing with assurance as Brown goes down towards half forward. That's a wonderful mark by White. Battle of bodies. He was locked up with Hansen and still took it. Thornton, Gibbs.
Just another handball that didn't hit the target though.
Stevens, Saddington, Carrazzo inside the forward 50. Fisher gets away. And that was interesting because Brown was thinking that Favola was coming up on the lead, and as a result was prepared almost to peel off Fisher to make it a 2-on-1 on Favola. And that's what they've got to do, utilize those situations. Watch this again. If we see it in the distance, Brown, indecisive, was going back to cover the middle. Fisher from 45 metres. I think he's got the goal.
There's been some good goals kicked today.
There's been some beauties.
I think your point is a really good one too, Dennis. And you know, you look at how many goal scorers they've had this afternoon, Carlton. And again, it's that heavy reliance on Favola. This is going to be probably a better angle of it. Here's Lee Brown. They start to worry about Brendan Favola here. And then the space goes out wider. But they've got to actually come up with another formula, another plan, Carlton. And when they do double team Favola, they've got to find another way and another avenue to goal, which they haven't been able to demonstrate this afternoon.
How would you sell that if you're the coach of Carlton, though, about perhaps more diversity up forward? You go to Fev and say, well, you might have to kick 75 or 80 goals for us to be a better team.
Yep, and as a full forward and someone who likes the limelight, easier said than done.
Well, coming into this game, Campbell was the chief goal kicker for the Kangaroos. He kicked 31, but they had 7 players that had averaged a goal a game, and that's what we've seen again this afternoon. They've had more avenues as they've gone forward.
Rawlings to Urquhart. That's a bad kick. Saddington gets on the end of it. Scotland breaks away across the ground. He comes to Walker.
Good chase by Harding. Good effort.
Still there. Down towards half forward. Good reach from Watt.
And even though he didn't make any contact, just the pressure from behind that the Kangaroos exude on the opposition, that forces turnovers as well.
Watt goes across the ground to Pratt, and now 50. So he can't pay the advantage. Interesting too with Watt, he's very much a journeyman player, but he does his roll back there. He's quick for a big man. He was drafted before a couple of Brownlow medalists, Simon Black and Adam Goods.
He talked about in the paper this morning about how he's been a journeyman and how he believes it's been his athleticism that's actually kept him in the game as long as it has.
Plus he's as brave, and you can't buy that.
Hale's got the football. Harvey's off the ground. So 5 minutes to go. Will we see him again this afternoon, do you think?
No, they can give him a spell.
No, that'll do.
He's going to have a shower, son.
That'll do.
Has he got the votes?
He'll be on the podium. Don't know if he's got gold, silver or bronze, but he'll be up there.
Well, if I'm the coach, I just leave him out there for a few more minutes, a couple more possessions, give him the votes.
Well, he's already had 30, Dennis. He's a little bit tired.
Asking the question.
3 goals. It's been a pretty busy afternoon for him.
Don't want to risk an injury.
Goodness me.
Dan, don't risk an injury.
Oh. Hopefully he's got the 3 votes then and can sit down for the last 5 minutes. There goes the Hale kick across the face of goal, some pushing, and I think it'll be a Carlton free kick.
He's got to take that out of his game, Hansen. He's done that on a number of occasions. That's the first time I think the umpires actually picked him up on it. But each time he's been in a marking duel, he's actually trying to use his hands first.
There's Brown on the outer side. Looks up towards the wing. Carrazzo's got it. Men on in the middle. Carrazzo doesn't look there first. Thought about it, but they'd been closed down. So he goes short. Cruiser has it. Judd A couple of big head clashes this afternoon.
Smart use of the ball.
That was a very clever kick. Squeezed it out through a narrow opening and found Russell.
How damaging is he and how dangerous is he when he gets the ball forward to the centre like this? Because you know he's got wonderful skill, but he's also a beautiful decision maker.
You know,
rarely does he not hit the target.
They don't do what Geelong do, though. They don't protect him enough. They don't make sure that the ball gets into his hands.
I think that the reason for that, Ox, is I reckon there's so many other midfielders who actually want the ball as much as what Judd does.
Russell from the 50 just tugs it left. It's a big ask too, isn't it? They don't quite have the player to do that, in as much as they've got young midfielders like Gibbs and Murphy and those sort of guys.
Players like Scotland and Stevens, though, they should be trying to orchestrate that the ball goes into Judd's hands as often as possible.
Oh, sure. I agree
Even though they're great players themselves.
Yeah.
But they don't make decisions anywhere near as good as what Chris Judd does.
No, they don't. But they're still ball magnets themselves, aren't they? I mean, their sole intention is to go and get the ball themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas Bowen Thompson's been able to sell it to his midfielders. And I think Dennis's point is right too. You've got a younger midfield, and probably they don't have the bodies yet that the Geelong midfielders have. Well, they certainly don't have. They can't play inside like Geelong midfielders can.
Farito, Hale, Sinclair, Simpson. Harris once more. Valuable player today, Harris. The sort of player we're probably talking about if he changed jumpers.
That's right. Absolutely. He's had 25 touches this afternoon, Harris, and he doesn't get easy stuff either.
What about Grant's form just leading up into the finals? He's starting to really hit his straps as well.
Yeah, he looks sharp today, hasn't he? Inside the 50. Slapped forward by Walker. Waite. Cruiser, the short one. Industrious young man, Cruiser. Kept coming. Got it back from Wiggins. Across the ground, Stevens.
He'll end up with this.
May have been a deflection. That upset Simpson.
Good run,
falling to the ground, Scotland. Well called, Tim. Mutual Admiration Society this afternoon. Cruiser, Murphy. Well, that says it all, really. Still they battle after the football. Hampson slaps it back. Cruiser forced to go again. Wrenched away from him by Harris. Grant releases Pratt. Good chase from Russell. Forced the error. Farito on the assist. Crashes the pack. Keeps it going in the opposite direction, though. And now a free kick is going to Sinclair, who again.
Is your man, Den?
I'm impressed with that. He keeps putting his head down.
So he should. He keeps winning free kicks. Oh, it's lazy.
Simpson bounces one out of bounds in front of Sam Power.
He looks tired too, Adam Simpson. He's had he's worked pretty hard this afternoon. He's had 22. And Shannon Grant coming off, Brady Rawlings back on.
So, I think it's fair to say, although next week it could be all different because they're going to Geelong, North Melbourne. But North Melbourne have the organisation to win a premiership.
Fev calling for it in long. He wants it in long.
Murphy has it 60 metres from goal. Do they have the personnel? That's the question. Stevens just sets it up. Fev battling with Gibson. Loose at the back. Socket off the ground by Fisher. Got some elevation too. It's a goal.
Well, good finish. Very good finish. Fev put in a couple of leads. They swung the ball around then Carlton. They weren't impatient in going in. He probably holds on to Gibson there. This is a good finish though. Don't worry about picking it up.
Like a place kick, that one off.
So you're saying it's a free kick to you?
There's Fev and...
oh, well, that says it all, doesn't it?
Vozzo?
Seriously?
Yeah, Michael Vozzo. Good on the app, Voz. So was Fev, though, I guess.
That was an amazing conversation after that goal between Favola and umpire Vozzo. Fev wanting the free kick, umpire Vozzo making the point. So you're saying it's a free kick to you when your team just got the goal. That's insightful. And there's Dean Laidley. Coach is never happy. He'll probably check for dirty fingernails later, but he should be delighted. 22-9, 13-6.
Looks pretty relaxed there.
He should be. They're up by 10 goals.
Sinclair across the ground. Now he could just about kick this, Power. Decides against it. Just pulls it back. Took something off the kick. White knocks it down. It's going to be a free kick. It's going Carlton's way.
2 metres, Corey.
Saddington. Walker. But that was very insightful, that conversation between umpire Vozzo, who was playing the shrink.
I'm with you, Dennis.
Wells, little side foot. That was clever. How good was that? Urquhart's away. Coming up, though, the mark is held by White. Carlton will have to wait another season, but things are looking better. Gibbs towards half forward. Watt, the man we spoke of earlier, got a fist on it. Well done by Murphy. Went through with courage. Pulls it back towards half forward. Gibbs off his step. And Scotland's got it directly in front. There's the siren. It sounds the death knell for Carlton's finals hopes. A cheery word between Cloak and Harvey. And that's good to see. Heath Scotland directly in front. Normally a reliable kick. And this one is good. Carlton get their 14th goal. North Melbourne win 22-9, 141 to Carlton 14-6, 90 at the Dome.
There's your man, Den. Jess Sinclair. They were just too good today. After the first quarter, when it was a shootout, it was the experience and the level-headedness of the midfielders in particular for the Kangaroos that just shone. Much is spoken about Carlton's midfield, but this one of North Melbourne's, it's underrated, and they are going places. And Tim, I reckon you hit the nail on the head. They are the second best side in the competition at the moment.
Well, Ricky Oldenshaw's down there on the ground. He's got Brent Harvey, probably BOG again for the North Melbourne side this afternoon.
That's right, he was absolute star. Real shootout early, mate, but you were able to shut them down and keep your attacking style going.
Yeah, it was. We knew Carlton had nothing to lose today, so they had to come out and have a crack. And, you know, in the first quarter, I think there might have been 12 or 13 goals kicked. It was a pretty fast start, and then we tried to get the game on our terms, and look, in the end, the boys had a real good win.
There's plenty of feeling between the two clubs, wasn't there? A bit of a blue at half-time. You were involved in that?
Oh, mate, a little bit of a scuffle never goes astray. It's pretty good fun, and most of the boys get along pretty well with each other.
We've got a big test next week, mate. You've got Geelong, but you're going in there with a lot of form.
Yeah, we have. It's the biggest test in footy. You go down to the Skilled Stadium and play against the Cats, but, mate, we've got nothing to lose. We look forward to it. I think we've won our last 6 games now, so we are hitting them with a bit of good form.
Well, mate, the way you played today, I reckon you're Brownlow. Want to even go down even further, so well done, mate.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks, mate.
Dennis, I think your point before about what it might do to you going down, as we see Chris Judd enjoying a joke there with Shannon Grant, going down to Skilled Stadium at this stage of the year.
That's tricky, isn't it?
With some really good form behind you. And then if you were to cop a belting at this stage of the year on the eve of the finals, what that might do to you as a group of players. But you've got to test yourself against the best. I mean, that's what this game is all about.
And we know Geelong, I would imagine they would sort of feel that way too, that they're coming here. And this is a wonderful opportunity leading up to the finals to really deliver a blow to one of our major rivals, because I'm sure if they were watching this afternoon, they would marvel at the organisation of North Melbourne. That's the query I have over them, whether they've got the personnel. They've certainly got the method.
Well, considering the Bulldogs and the Hawks who have been beaten today, all of a sudden, Dennis, they're starting to fall over in North Melbourne. Well, they just keep delivering, and they will go down there with real confidence. In Geelong, they'll need to be on their game, as they always are.
North Melbourne win by 51 points. This is Sunday Football.